Hello and welcome back to the Out of Mana podcast. This is episode 36 with at the Real Shiesty and at Joshua Katz. I called you Cats. My handsome co-host here. With today we are going to talk about is the future. The future of fighting games. Are we entering another golden age? We'll be talking about all those games as well as our non-spoiler review of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Now that it's finally here, we're so excited. And you could find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Twitch. Where else, Josh?
Those are the platforms
Those
we're
are our
on, and then you
platforms.
can follow us on social media to keep up to date for every episode on Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah, so as if you're listening to us live or if you listen to us on recording, please feel free to like us, share us, subscribe to us, leave all your comments based on all our discussions today. We highly appreciate it, and we love you all for that. So with
Yes.
that said, enough further ado, my good friend Josh, how are you this week?
Oh man, I'm doing excellent. Lots of big things this week. I can't contain myself with how excited I am. Looking forward to the future.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, so as I, did the header, Zelda is out. It has consumed me for the last week. It's what I've been playing every day. Think about at work. I even contemplated bringing my Switch to work, but I said, no, Steve, don't do that. Then you will definitely not concentrate at work. So that's been my game since it launched 11 p.m. Thursday. I only took one day off to play WoW,
You
and that
took
was on.
Friday off, but you have to
Yes,
mention that you and I
yes,
both scored a
yes,
collector's
yes. So,
edition of
so,
Zelda.
so for all those out there, let's just play. Thank you for bringing it out that way, and let me also on our podcast thank you even more so for sending me the tip. So at work, uh, Josh went to go pick up his like early ticket or something along the magnitude to get
Yeah, my
like in
group
line or
member to get in
something.
line.
Yeah, so and that's when he texted me a tip. He said, "Hey, this GameStop over here is supposed to get at least 15 extra copies of the collector's edition," and I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Fuck, man! Like, I can't just. I mean, I could technically just leave work. I got some leave I could use, but was it important to me? Yes, but at the same time, I was like, I don't." It was almost the end of the day. I think I forgot what time that was. It was like 3, right? So I only had a half hour left of my day. So I rushed over, and lo and behold, allegedly, which I think was factual, I got the last one out of those 15. So through much failure through the whole ordeal of getting the collector's edition, I in the clutch got a last day. So thanks, Josh, for that big time.
Yeah,
So
I will say that
technically,
golden ticket though was really cool.
yeah, I saved mine as well. Yeah, so I should have brought it with me and showed it on the
Oh,
thing
I have it on the
for those
shelf. I
that have
should have got
live.
that too.
Yeah, I think I see it poking out. If that's the right piece, is that it?
Actually, it is.
Poking
Yes.
out. Yeah, that's funny. So it's the golden ticket. So anyway, that was a nice cherry on top for that. But now I technically own two copies because, as I said before, I actually bought the digital version to install on my Zelda exclusive Switch or limited edition Switch, whatever it's called. So yeah, I own two copies, but it's all good. It is what it is.
Did you open your collector's edition?
I did, and let me tell you why. I initially I wasn't going to. I don't know if yours was like this, but I think mine might have been tampered with because that sticker on top was already, yes, it was already how
Open.
can I put it, tampered with. Yeah, it wasn't slit, it was lifted up and then it was creased. Like it was
Ooh.
you know what I'm talking, yeah, exactly. I'm not saying that to really throw shade or anything. Like I said, I'm happy I got it. Nothing was missing. So let me confirm that nothing was missing. But I think maybe they used it as to, hey, let's see what's inside.
Hmm.
Just saying. But it's fine. Everything was in there, at least to my knowledge. So no harm, no foul. But I wasn't going to. But then I saw that and I was a little bummed. But like I said, I wasn't really bummed because like, look, hey, I fucking got it like last day, last minute, last copy allegedly. So I'm not stressed over that.
Well, did
Uh,
you So did you look at the art book?
I did briefly, but I stopped myself because I'm like, no, I have to play the game first because there might be spoilers in here. So I stopped.
There's no story spoilers, but there's a lot of cool concept art. I mean, unless if you want to consider like the Zonite building stuff spoilers,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
there's so many cool little like drawn concepts of like mechanisms or contraptions you can use for the Zonites, and it's just
Oh,
nice to see. And then also like how do you say it? I want to call it like a blueprint, like the original first draft of like certain uh whatchamacallit, like ads. I guess they're just enemies really, like
okay.
the bow goblin and all that stuff, and the
Oh, okay.
yellow boss guy or the white boss guy, and you get to
Okay.
see like their first concept and then like their final form. I was like, that's
Nice.
pretty cool, and then yeah, it
Okay.
was just cool.
Yeah, the brief, like I started looking at it page by page, and I saw I'm like, no, I gotta stop. And then I kind of did one of those like really long reviews just to like look at it, and it's the R2 of the front and back of just the hardcover look sweet as it is too. Like it's a well made art book. More times than not, art books usually are pretty well made. But yeah, it's pretty sweet.
I was surprised what came with it because like usually I don't like steel books, but this
Mm-hmm.
came with a steel book, and I kind of like it because I mean for people that are audio, I'm holding up the back of the collector's edition, and it basically shows this like I don't know hieroglyphic text format of like each character.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was cool with the steel book, and then the pins actually surprised me. I didn't think they're gonna be as well done as they were.
You thought those were well done? I thought they were kind of skimpy, to be honest.
Well, I've unfortunately had a couple collector's editions that came with pins.
Yeah.
Most of them are very garbage, and these are not like these aren't the quality of like fig pins, but they're pretty
Yeah.
close.
Okay. Because like you probably have bought more collector's edition over the years because you do more console gaming than I do. So I'll accept. Not saying I shouldn't accept your answer, but I'll your opinion I think holds a lot of weight there because I have the Dragonfly one which came with pins, and those pins are like really nice. Like the weight, the just the art and the way they're they just look really sweet. So I thought those were like I thought not that they're like meh, but they were like I thought they could have been better. So on that note, that was awesome. That was my I guess you could say since the last pod, or my latest gaming acquisition. And I also did an impulse buy today, but it's gaming related, but it's not a game. I saw on Twitter there was a 4-pack of a plushies for the Earthbound characters for Earthbound 2 or Mother 2 as it is. And I saw it. I actually texted my other friend because he's also an Earthbound, pretty big Earthbound fan. I'm like, stop the urge to impulse buy, and I still did it. So it's an import from Japan, so I don't know when I'm gonna get that. But other than that, it's just been Zelda, Zelda, Zelda. So since that is one of our big topics today, I'm not going to go and dive any further. We'll reserve that for that. But how about you and your week? Do you want to elaborate a little bit more on that before
So
maybe we start talking about mini topics?
before besides the midnight launch of Zelda and picking up the collector's edition, which was a big thing,
Mm-hmm.
as the week progressed, it got
Mm-hmm.
more and more impressive. With Mortal Kombat releasing their news, I was able to get basically secure my collector's edition for Mortal Kombat 1, which I'm looking forward to. But I also found some more games as I was cleaning up. So I believe I showed this last time. I bought these two games. I brought Frogger 1 and
You
Frogger 2.
you did bring that up last week, yep.
Which for some reason I didn't realize that the PS3 can actually play PS1 games, so I was shocked. I thought
Mm,
it was like only a certain version, but apparently all versions of PS3 play PS1 games. It's only the original fat version that can only play PS2 games.
okay, I was trying to remember that. I'm like, I thought they did, but then I thought there was like a certain I don't know if library is the right coin term to use that it didn't play. I know there were some issues back then about backward compatibility, and I
So
forgot what it
that's only
was.
for PS2. So the original 60 gigabyte version, with the four USB ports, so metallic lining, that can play all PS2 games. But then there's another
Okay,
version that came out a little later that can only play half the library of PS2 games. Well,
okay,
all PS3 versions can play every single
all of PS1
PS1s.
games. Okay, cool, cool.
So I've been kind of going back to like, with the Nintendo mission I've been going through trying to get all the first parties. I'm trying to go back and re-secure my childhood favorites, which is Frogger 1, which I don't know how this game is for kids because this is one of the hardest platform puzzlers I've ever played because it's a 3D Frogger and each of the levels get progressively harder. And I don't think I've ever beaten this game, and I want to try to beat this game. This one is definitely much easier than Frogger 1, which is Frogger 2, but a little bit more expensive. I found it at Disc Replay, actually by your area, which I thought was cool. And they're both complete in box, because in order to get, the front covers, you actually have to have the manuals. So the front covers are actually the manuals itself.
True, true.
But
You talking about the one on Butterfield Road? I'm sorry.
No, Countryside.
Oh, Countryside. Oh, I didn't know there was another one over there. Okay, there's another place on Butterfield Road too, by the way.
But as I was cleaning up because I seen that they had Rayman at the store, but I was like, I don't want to buy it. It was kind of expensive. I was cleaning up and I realized I had Rayman still for PS1, still in really good condition. So I found this, and it's still pretty good. I'm surprised that it lasted this long because I was not a good kid when it came to my toys. I used it and abused it. But then at the same time, I found a very rare game. It's Mortal Kombat Special Forces. I forgot I had this because what was it? In my mind, I thought I played Mortal Kombat 4, but my uncle had it, and then my first one was Deadly Alliance. But apparently that's not true. My first one wasn't Deadly Alliance. It was actually this game, which I played it recently. It sucks, but I looked at the price of it. Apparently it sells for $70.
Damn. I was gonna say, like, looking at it, like, I know I've never played it, and I'm like, damn, didn't that game bomb?
Yeah, it's pretty bad, but it has Jax on it. It's the original Black Label, which is pretty hard to find.
Yep, exactly.
And it's complete. It has the registration still.
That one probably never reached greatest hits status, so probably that the Black Label was probably the only version of it.
I think there's like 3 different versions. I know that this one's definitely the more sought after one because of the. I'm not sure if you can see it, the UTC or sorry NTSC and then the UC thing. So this is the more sought after version, but I was shocked that I still had it. I was cleaning out my closet and I was looking at some of my old PS2 games, and in there was like a little cluster of PS1 games. I was like, okay, let's see what they are. Most of them are obviously too beat up to use anymore, but some of them are still in pristine condition because probably I didn't play them enough. But yeah, it was cool to see this. Like I was like, I knew I was a Mortal Kombat fan. I really got into Deadly Alliance, but the fact that I had this one, it shocked me. And to also see how much value this is, I may play this as like a let's play, put it on YouTube, and then probably sell this itself because realistically, I don't think
it's value. Yeah, you need it anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although, like, you might want to hold. Well, yeah, I mean, you might want to hold until MK actually comes out because maybe it might increase even. You think? I don't know. Like timing wise.
Maybe. It's kind of weird. It's like I'm on the fence about this because like it's cool that I have it. It is an expensive game, and I probably bought it really cheap a long time ago, or my mom probably bought it really cheap. But it's just shocking. I didn't think I had it. I looked at it and I was like, eh.
That's like me having. I still have very few PlayStation 1 games as well. They're all Final Fantasy related though. One of them is if I might be butchering this, but I think it's pronounced Air Guys or Air Guys. It's the original like kind of Final Fantasy fighting game, which was horrible, but I still have that, and I don't think it's as valuable though, surprisingly. So.
Well, one of the games I do have, unfortunately, the case is really beat up. Have you heard of Kelowna or Kelowna?
No, it's not ringing a bell.
I have the game, unfortunately, because it was a hard game for me at the time. Apparently, I beat up the manual and it's kind of like messed up. If that game was in pristine condition, that's like a $700 PS1 game.
Jesus, man, wow.
Obviously, it's still probably worth some money, but I'm probably gonna keep it just for the nostalgic factor. But if it was in pristine, that would have been a pretty pricey game to sell, and that probably would have paid off my MK collection right there.
Yeah, and then some, That's cool.
Yeah, but going on to it, I feel like it was only the right time to pull it out because of MK1. I have to show off my OG collection on Xbox, and then recently, I already had this on 360, but for some reason I went to half price books. It was actually right next to this replay I told you about, and this one I bought for $9. It's Mortal Kombat 9 for PS3 because I had it on 360 originally, but it's brand new because it still has its combat pass. I haven't even torn the thing yet. So I was
Now that
shocked.
does expire.
So they do have an expiration code, but thankfully there's certain codes that actually what you call it, retroactive. So even if the expiration date happens, you can still redeem it.
Mm.
And this happened to be one of those games. So I'm gonna redeem the combat pack later so I can play as Kratos and Freddy Krueger and all the other stuff. But I was just shocked. I was like, all right, let's. I have it for 360, but I seen that it comes with. Well, you can't see it because the sticker, but Kratos from God of War is on there because that's one of the special characters. I was like, let's pick it up. And when I looked inside of it, I'm like, oh, it's got the combat pass and it's not even used. So that was like a win-win for me.
Mm. Nice, nice.
But yeah, that was pretty much it. Just going out, snagging the MK1 Collector's Edition, finding MK9 surprisingly used for very cheap with the combat pass intact, and then finding some old games I didn't think I had anymore.
Sweet, sweet, nice. So yeah, outside of that, yeah, like I said, no new games to flaunt over here. But going back to like little miniature topics here, I kind of feel a little, how can I put it? I guess I'm kind of almost tired of talking about this because we talked about it on numerous podcasts,
Is it
but I guess we'll
Xbox?
just kind of talking
Okay,
about.
you go and then I'll add on if it's what I think
Yeah,
it
yeah.
is.
So just really briefly, we always talk about the Activision Xbox merger. Apparently, or not merger, but Microsoft buying them. So apparently, the was it the UK or whatever Europe Association backed out now, so they can move forward. But now there's still a little other hurdles going on. But I'm just gonna leave it as that. I don't really want to go down that rabbit hole. I'm like actually really feeling nauseating talking about this anymore because it's just like let's just wait until it's a done deal, whether it's fully
Well,
gone or fully done.
so I was actually gonna bring this up because
Okay.
it's escalated even more past that. So it was the EU that decided that they're gonna still go forward with it,
Mm-hmm.
but the UK isn't part of the EU anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They've separated, I think, like a year or two ago, but the CMA is still trying to hold on strong. But Microsoft, they got business connections everywhere, so they're getting past that organization. But another big thing that happened recently is that China also approved the deal too. And the
That's
reason
the recent
why
one I saw today. Yeah.
China's such a big deal is because if Xbox and Activision get together, their contract is going to get renewed even cheaper, and more of their games that they didn't have access to are going to go to that region, which is a huge deal for the Chinese market. For players that never experienced certain games, for Blizzard coming back and all that stuff and make it more accessible. And I think it's like a 10-year deal as well. I forgot what the actual range was, but it was kind of impressive that like basically China and then EU approving this, and now they're putting a lot of pressure on the UK. It almost makes like a done deal at this point because at first I was like, oh, if this one backs out, then it's gonna be a domino effect of other people backing out. But because
Mm-hmm.
two big countries, well, basically continents at this point,
Mm-hmm.
agreed, it's like it's already set in stone.
Yeah. So it felt, like I said, it was fitting to kind of bring that up because we do talk about it quite often. I think we followed it, pretty much from its inception as news. But at the same time, like I just don't want to talk about it too much anymore. I'm just kind of like getting just done with it. Like just let it organically happen. Bring it up when it's finally done.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna bring it
So
up as a main topic, just like a little one like this, because
yeah,
like I said,
yeah,
we talked
yeah,
about it.
perfect. So so good. We were on the same page for that
But
one.
it's just funny that Microsoft has gotten to the point where they're like, all right, time to take the gloves off. You guys want to fight with us? Sony was, trying to do all this stuff, which now you could tell the beef is getting serious because PlayStation announced their showcase and it's at the exact same time as Xbox.
Oh, see, I didn't even know that. Well, because I don't really follow Xbox.
S-
So they're both next Wednesday at the same time?
I believe so. I believe
Oh
that's what
my
the current
God.
Twitter beef is going on. Um, but supposedly the Xbox lineup got leaked, and I think it's intentional because PlayStation doing their thing. And supposedly there's a huge stack of games that people are really looking forward to that got canceled and now they're being brought back. So this might be the biggest turning point. But we'll see. Xbox has disappointed me recently, so I don't want to give them too high hopes. But if they're pulling something completely out of left field, like they're like, okay, we got this ace in our sleeve, it's time to use it. Let's show PlayStation what we're really about, and they're actually putting on their big corporate pants and taking all these countries by storm. It's like, it's gonna be interesting to see what's gonna happen in the next few months.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't think I haven't been following it closely, but I don't think Sony's leaked anything intentionally, right? They're just keeping everything close to the vest.
Yeah, but if they've seen that
Yeah.
if that lineup that was leaked for Xbox is true, PlayStation doesn't have a
Do,
chance.
do you want to give a quick rundown of that? Because I don't know anything about it, if you
So
can.
I
Or,
like I
or
said,
just the ones fresh out your memory.
so I don't know if this is factual. This is
Yeah,
what was leaked,
pure,
and we
pure
don't.
leaks. Yeah.
So one was Fallout New Vegas 2. If you know Fallout, it's a huge franchise,
Hmm.
and New Vegas is considered one of the best in the series. So
Hmm.
they're potentially make a sequel. Scalebound, which was canceled like 7, 8 years ago, that people were really disappointed to. It's like the dubstep Dragon Slayer thing. I was really disappointed about it. Supposedly that's gonna be in the showcase, which I hope it's not. If I hope this is not fake, because if it's fake, I'm gonna be really sad because I really want this game to come out. But if it's true, it's gonna be what a lot of people are looking forward to. They also have Avowed. They have a bunch of other Bethesda games. There's another big one. Can't remember the name of it. I wish I had like the picture up. I seen it on Twitter and then I kind of went past it because I'm like I didn't want to put too much stock in it. But there's a lot of big names in there.
Okay, cool. Man, that's gonna be interesting. So next Wednesday is gonna be pretty hot then.
Yeah. People.
Well, we know what content we're gonna have for next week's podcast, everybody.
Well, if Xbox is a fail, at least we'll have PlayStation to talk about.
Well,
But if
I mean,
Xbox is true,
well,
it's
either
gonna
either
be a
way,
massive
I mean,
week.
it's easy free content for us in our podcast next week. Is what I'm getting at. It's pretty much a done deal, right? So okay, that's cool. We'll be paying close attention to that. I'm not for next week. Other mini topics. I kind of brought it up like I had like a whole line and cast of them, and now I'm just like brain farting them. What other ones did you have in mind, by the way?
So I don't know if they're really topics, but just
Hmm.
things that I've been
Yeah.
noticing for myself.
Hmm.
While you think about yours, is that there's been a good 7 year break where I never pre-ordered a single game except for maybe like Destiny, and that was just
Hmm.
like one game because it's like an MMO game. This
Hmm.
year I pre-ordered 7 games:
Hmm.
Hogwarts Legacy, Zelda, which I didn't think I was gonna do, but I did. Crash Bandicoot or Crash Team Rumble, Final Fantasy 16, Mortal Kombat, one. I'm trying. I'm thinking about pre-ordering Street Fighter 6 if I can still secure a collector's edition.
You can, but it's
um,
also $250 if you want the
I'm fine.
granddaddy one.
I'm fine with that. I'm
Yeah,
like right now I'm just in fighting games.
I looked at it and I wasn't really impressed with it. So I figured if the game, see, like, well, we're gonna talk about fighting games anyway, so I'm gonna save it for that.
But then going down the line, you got what was it? You still got another Destiny game coming up. You have God, what's that game called? Uh, Tekken 8.
Hmm.
So it's just like I can't believe I pre-ordered so many games. I'm like it's unlike me, like a 7 year gap of not pre-ordering any single game, not to
Hmm.
pre-ordering all these big games and collector's editions. I'm like, good thing I saved up.
Yeah, yeah, and just like how I mentioned, it's these ultimate, if you want to dub it that way, collector's editions, right? Because they have all these different tiers nowadays. They're not cheap. They're all very expensive. So yeah, it's. I mean, I said it before. You've said it. I'll keep using the term you say, like we're eating good, you know. And even for me, this year has been unprecedented. So and it we're almost to the halfway point, but we're not there. So
And there's gonna be a lot more on the horizon.
there's still a lot more on the horizon,
Yeah.
and there's still stuff that we don't know of, which you know everything that's probably gonna get revealed next week isn't probably gonna come out till next year or multiple years in some cases. I'm pretty sure Sony's gonna have. I would think they might have the second installment of Final Fantasy VII to kind of finally reveal a little bit more of too. I think that's going to be their hard hitting title, maybe, unless Square Enix doesn't allow them to do it then and they want to do it on their own accord. I don't know, but I could probably anticipate that being one of them. I feel like it's about time because 16's had all the spotlight, and rightfully so in their regard. And you kind of got to start teasing for that next one, right? Um, but other than that, uh, yeah, small subjects. Mm, you know what? Everything for me's been Zelda, Zelda, Zelda.
So this is another question. This is more of like a
Sure.
personal like speculation.
Yeah.
So I know you're not a physician, but you do work in the medical field doing other things, not with medicine. But do you think vitamin gummies are a real thing, or do you think they're placebo?
Vitamins.
Like, so I have, since I've been
I
sick, I've been taking vitamin C gummies, and I
yeah,
also take the omega-3 fish oil pill and
yeah,
all that stuff.
yeah.
I still believe it's a placebo, but I take it in hopes that it's not.
I think I feel uh, I feel like they're not. However, I feel that how can I put it? They're not miracle drugs. They're not even drugs. I mean, vitamins aren't miracle
I know
whatever,
it's just
right?
it's
But
supposed to give you a little boost to help nutrient
I
get
think it's
nutrients
it's
to your
it's there
body.
to kind of keep your body in equilibrium is what it is. But vitamin C is obviously one of the more renowned ones, right?
To help boost your immune system.
yeah, like last week, I was mentioning how I was feeling like, oh, I think I'm fighting something, which maybe I wasn't, but I didn't come down with anything because I immediately started taking emergency vitamin C. So and then when you take your blood work, every if you do it every year, but dare I say you're supposed to, um, they tell you which vitamins you're low on, and they can have an impact on your health, whether it's whatever, blood pressure, cholesterol, sodium. Are you feeling too cold? Are you suffering from erections all day? No, I'm just playing. But so yeah, no,
Well,
vitamins definitely have an integral part.
that is actually a weird question that you said because when I went to the this was a couple of years ago, but apparently I have was it is it iron or
Iron
zinc?
deficiency?
No, it's the opposite where I have too
Oh,
much.
too much?
Where
Okay.
I'm like a heater. I'm always dispensing heat, and they say the reason why you're running hot is because you have a certain thing that's always being used, and that's why you have like certain tendencies, like like you said, constant erections that you're not supposed to have, but they're just popping up because
Almost,
your blood is
almost
circulating.
adrenaline. Yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah.
there's a reason why I can grow hair back faster. If I shave it off, it'll be back in like a week. It's because of what's in my blood, and I just produce more than a usual amount of it. And they're like,
I
you should
think I
probably
think that would
donate your
also fall.
blood.
I think that would also fall under just higher testosterone levels as well,
Yeah, which
and
terrifies me.
hormones, which goes together with hormones and stuff like that. So
But it terrifies me because like I'm like if I was truly healthy, if I was like extremely healthy, extremely fit, and all that stuff, my testosterone's already high. Imagine what it would be if I was at that peak physical health. I'd
well,
be a
well,
bully.
well, no. What I was gonna say is if you did, that would once again, I'm no doctor, I'm no pharmacist, I'm none of that. I would just think when it's too high, your levels are too high of something. I mean, that could also have an adverse effect. It could be harmful to you as well.
Mm,
That's why there's also drugs that will
lower.
try to lower those particular things because too much of something, you could have heart issues,
Well,
especially like
supposedly it's not uncommon for guys my age to have a little bit more of an
no, of
abundance
course
of
not,
it.
of course
So
not. Yeah,
apparently I'm like in like the 20 percentile,
like guys
whatever.
at my age tend to have less of it, and that's my concern.
But my doctor was saying, because I have certain things that would kind of be useful, also my plasma too. He was like, you
Mm-hmm.
should really think about donating.
Donating plasma.
And I'm
That's
like,
actually where the money's at.
yeah. I'm just
But
afraid that
whether or
they
not you
might.
want to give it up.
No, I think I'm willing to. The only problem is I have this fear where they're gonna fuck up and give me the wrong needle, and I'm gonna get AIDS from it.
No, absolutely not. Not in an actual clinical setting. That's your concern if you're gonna do freaking
Going to the
heroin
back
off the
alley.
street. Exactly. If you go to
I know it's like an irrational fear, but like it
yeah.
is like
No, it's
what
still
happens if I'm that one unlucky sap that somehow the guy is having a bad day, he jams me with the wrong needle, and I'm fucked.
well, think of it this way. If I may create a silver lining for you, if that were to happen, you could prove it in a court of law. You and your family will be set for generations. So go out there and get that needle.
Yeah, but I've had friends that work in like the garbage disposal industry and all that stuff, and
Oh
they've
yeah,
accidentally got stuck with the needle and the
that's
process to go through it. Even if they don't have
that's
it, it's medication,
yep.
all this checkups. It sucks.
Shots, yeah, no, that's why that job is so hazardous. Didn't we end up talking about that once on a podcast, like how some jobs out there, like nobody really appreciates what they do and what they go through, and then in the garbage or the waste disposable team and services, that's one of them, the ones that are the boots on the ground going in your alleys, because yeah, they in their own right, much like people probably disagree with my assessment here, and that's totally fine, but much like a police officer and firefighter, they can and put themselves at risk for a lot of different fucking shit.
Yeah, especially alleys. Like there could always be like some kind of random like coked out monster back there, or some kind of like. So in my alley, there's a lot of raccoons and possums,
Uh-huh.
and if you catch one of them and you get them scared, they will attack you.
If you catch a mama protecting their babies.
And most of the time, you don't even know they're in there until you lift the lid and you're like, oh shit, there's five of them.
Yep, yep. So yeah, no, I totally know I know Chicago alleys. I know them. I play basketball in them, alley ball.
And not only that, we have coyotes here too, which is shocking.
Yes, and well, how's your or dare I say increase, but how's it with alley cats? Because I recall them purposely letting feral cats loose to try to take care of rat problems.
So this is the problem. It goes in cycles. I'm convinced that they do it at a certain point because there's certain parts of the year where there's a large amount of just alley cats.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also certain parts of the year where you find a massive amount of dead alley cats because it's also the time where they put poison in the alley. And
Mm,
because they eat the rats or something in the
mm,
garbage, it gets
mm-hmm,
them and it kills them. That's why when my cat
mm,
was an outdoor cat, I was fearful that that might happen. Luckily, he was a
mm-hmm,
smart cat, and that never
mm-hmm,
happened. But dude,
mm-hmm,
I think it was last September, October.
mm-hmm,
I was driving down my street, and it was like maybe, when I say the street, I'm talking about maybe like a 4 block thing. I see
mm-hmm,
maybe 4 or 5 dead alley cats,
mm.
and they weren't
That's
run over
sad.
or anything. They were just kind
Yeah,
of like in
they're
the
just
corner, just laying down dead.
yeah, that's sad. Um, see, why'd you bring it down, man? Could have saved that for off the podcast, you
I know
know?
I shouldn't have, but I think the reason why I mentioned is because you said the cats,
Yeah, no,
and
I did.
then
I bring it up. I brought it up.
there's certain cats that actually do come to my backyard because I have a cat,
Yeah.
and they sometimes mess with her and they sleep there. And I named 2 of them. One was LT Gray, and one was LT Gray, and then one was Grayson. The reason why I called him Grayson because he was like white and gray, and I don't know why my mom's called him Grayson. But they would come around, and after a couple weeks, we noticed that they weren't coming around. And then I seen the cat that looked like one of them, and I'm like, oh no, that I think that might be LT Gray.
Mm. Yeah, it's funny. It's been a long, long time, but um, we, or I guess you say I befriended an alley cat too, even though we had our own cats as well. And it was like an orange tabby, and I named it Buttons. And don't ask why, but that was the name I gave it. It's like it's an orange tabby, it has nothing to do with buns, but hey, you're Buttons. And yeah, we just would leave food out for him. And one time, I don't know if it was a male or a female, but he was, I'm gonna say I'm gonna use he, was like really chilled, like super nice. Eventually, yeah, I guess grew the balls to walk in. Of course, our cats, you know, being uh, dominant in their own environment, were hissing and everything at him, and he's just like slowly walking in, like, "Hey, I just want a nice warm place to stay. I'm not trying to cause any trouble." So, but eventually, it's like, "Oh, here, sorry, Buns, you can't stay. They don't like you." And but yeah, it's funny you say all that. I thought before the rat poisoning road that you went down, which is factual. That unfortunately that's the part of the things what happened. I thought you were going to say maybe like in lieu of my story, maybe the smarter ones were trying to get themselves into actual households, like in the winter and stuff. So um, anyway, with that said,
I just realized my
well,
mic was muted. Grayson
oh,
was actually the cat that tried to do that. He would always try to go to the door when we come in. Go meow meow, like he was very nice, very talkative.
yeah.
But my
He's
cat
like, come on,
hated.
let me in. Yeah, meow.
The funny thing is, he got. I'm usually the one that says no. Like
Yeah,
I'm like keep it reasonable. But he
yeah.
got to my heart, and we're
Uh-huh.
like, okay, let's let him in, let's let him in. And then my mom was the voice of reason, And then Ella came around, and she did not like Grayson. Whenever Grayson came to the door, she would just swat at him and hiss and all that stuff. And we're like,
Mhm.
sorry, Grayson, she's already here first. We had to let him go. You should have heard this cat meow. He was like, meow, 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 like looking at us all sad. And he was like, please, if you don't let me in, I'm going to die tonight. And then he did that for 2 days. But then after we had to close the door because of Ella. But then after that, I think we hurt his feelings, and he was never back again.
Oh,
He just
that's
the
sad.
last meow was like meow, and then he just walked off, and then that was it.
Like, fuck you.
Yeah, dude, some of these cats, I mean,
Uh,
their personalities, even if you don't own them, like they
uh,
either form an attachment or they know how to manipulate you to get you that attachment going.
yeah.
Because Grayson did that. El Tigre was more of like an older cat. He was like sitting like the flowers. He never really opened his eyes. He would just look at you like one of those like Asian sages. And he would also like prowl in the grass like he was some kind of tiger. That's why I called him El Tigre. And he was orange too. But
Oh,
it,
here's
it,
orange. That's funny.
it's just funny, these cats, man.
Yeah, that's funny. Well, if any of y'all at home have any alley cat stories, feel free to share them in our comment section. So yeah, we can also have a good laugh. Um, yeah. So I don't know how you feeling. Moving to topic uno.
Sure,
Is there anything else
let's.
you want to add before we dive in?
There's always something to add, but we could dive right into topic number one,
All right. So topic
which
number one.
here we go.
All right. So topic one, and you kind of mentioned earlier that you secured yourself a collector's with a K edition Mortal Kombat 1. And I will also add, I too secured myself a collector's edition
Wait,
today.
you got Mortal
Uh,
Kombat 1 Collector's Edition?
yes, I did. So funny, I did so late, I thought I'd missed it, but I had no issues getting it. I just went online late and unlike I'm not trying to well I'm obviously making a comparison when I say don't try to compare, but unlike Zelda, I had no issues getting it. So I did. I haven't bought a collector's edition of MK since those bookends version. I have no idea what number that is, so it's been
Probably
quite a while.
MK9.
I'm kind of I don't want to say buying into the hype, but like I was a little reluctant because they haven't really showed actual gameplay footage. I mean, they showed very little in the trailer, but like to me, it wasn't really enough. But I'm like, you know what? I'm buying in. I'm buying in. I'm really hoping for a really good, polished, fun single player something. I'm kind of looking forward to that. Like, don't get me wrong, we know why we buy these games. It's for the replay value of fighting. They're fighting games. I get that. But I'm kind of really looking forward to a single player campaign that's really enjoyable.
So, speculation theory, to
Mm-hmm.
go with this. So, during the Mortal Kombat stuff, they announced it yesterday. Today, they did a little, like, 17, 15-minute stream on NetherRealm Studios, showing a little bit more of it. And on the stuff, it says an interactive story experience. And they
Mm-hmm.
never said that for any of the other ones before. And if you watch the trailer, Luke Kang specifically talks about choices.
Yes. Yes.
So I have a feeling that this is gonna play, even if it plays like the linear stuff that we got from like MK9 to 11. I'm still okay with that. But I have a feeling that we're gonna get conquest mode back from
Oh,
like
I love
Deception from
Conquest Mode.
Armageddon.
Like with the
Um,
crypt and everything. Ugh,
yeah.
right?
So conquest, you would actually go into the world. I forgot who was in Deception. It was like one like a peasant kind of guy, and then eventually turns into like a older god kind of thing. And then Armageddon's conquest was about the two dragon brothers fighting Onaga, like they're getting their powers. I think they're like Eldian gods or whatever. But it was like you would go into the world, and then in the world you talk to like NPCs, and then eventually fight other main characters.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a feeling they're gonna bring conquest mode back again, where you can like explore a little bit, kind of like Shaolin monks. Maybe I'm hoping, because
That'd be nice.
Ed Boon has for some reason teased a lot of Shaolin monks, so I have a feeling that we're gonna get Shaolin monks type gameplay in this. But because Liu Kang is teasing a lot of choices, I have a feeling that during the story you get to choose who's an enemy and who's a friend. And like either Shang Tsung could be good or he could be bad, or Katana could be bad, and what's her name? Katana's
Melina.
Melina will be good this time,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
or Sub Zero is
Or
actually
Scorpion.
the revenge character, and Scorpion is the
Mm-hmm.
one that his brother killed somebody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, the trailer definitely heavily insinuated that, which I thought was awesome. I like that, because they're calling it a reboot, but whether it's now,
I
I
don't
guess
think
they
they
have to.
know what a reboot is.
No, no, exactly. So to that point, right? Because I think they need to come out and actually say it. And I don't know if I didn't watch what you watched, that 16, 18-minute thing. Maybe I got to check that out at some point this weekend. But I think we need them to flat out come and say, like, look, because you made a valid point I saw on Twitter that um, they've done this before, but yet it's still kind of one continuation of story. Um, but the fact that they're now dubbing this as one, right? So they're kind of resetting it. I'm wondering if they're making it like, no, everything else is now not absolutely canon. This is something totally new.
Well, and the reason why I'm going to disagree with that is because so from MK1 through Armageddon, that was one timeline continuous story, and at
Mm-hmm.
the end of Armageddon, the canonical, I think that's the term, is Shao Kahn won Armageddon. He beat Raiden, and before Shao Kahn was able to get that final blow to Raiden, Raiden went back in time, and that's why he got MK9. And MK9 through 11 is him trying to change the events to prevent Armageddon from happening. Turns out Armageddon still happened, which is an MK11, and that's where Raiden's like, all right, maybe I'm going to change it this time where I'm going to give Liu Kang my powers. And then in MK11, Liu Kang basically turns to the Fire Thunder God, resets the timeline again, but then he goes to this new timeline, and he still knows what he's doing. He's seen his MK9 through 11 timeline, and he's trying to change it like Raiden did. So basically, it's the Orb Wars, snaking the tail, same thing happening. So because Liu Kang is still that same Liu Kang from MK9, 10, 11, him just resetting the timeline is still one continuous story because he's from that version going to this new version, and now
Mm-hmm.
he's basically the tyrant dictating how this path is going to go.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, you could reboot a timeline, but it's still one continuous story going forward.
Mm-hmm.
One character
Mm-hmm.
always knows the events of the previous games.
Yeah. In this case, it's going to be Liu Kang. I mean,
Yeah.
and that still can be cool. I guess it's still fine. I just, you know, I just think it's funny that they it got the fan base in a tizzy. Obviously, it's like, well, what is it? Is it or is it not? But you made that valid point, and then you just hashed it out again. Where yeah, they could quote unquote do it, but it's still one continuous story. So
Yeah, so it's like they need to come up with like a new genre of like a reboot a canonical continuation. It's
yeah.
like just different timelines, but they're still somehow connected because one character still knows the previous events and they're just
Hmm.
trying to change the outcome, which in my opinion, I think it's overused at this point because
Yeah.
MK10 had the perfect opportunity to give them a legacy cast continuation, which
Hmm.
was Cassie Cage, Tanaka or Takeda, um I can't remember his name. There's basically Jax's daughter and then Kung Lao's cousin, descendant, whatever, and they could have been passed the torch as new characters and continue the story, but they decided to reboot it so they can bring back legacy characters again. Which I'm like, I'm tired of seeing Katana, I'm tired of seeing Liu Kang. Just give me new characters.
Yeah. So kind of going back and forth. Like I haven't honestly I haven't played one in a few installments anyway. So that was like a nice little quick little historical lesson for me. I think part of my falling off was just like th- I don't know. To me, it seemed like they didn't really come up with anything new that drew me in. Right, like the system from if that was nine, was cool and fine, but then it was like the next installments to me weren't refreshing enough. Um, this one they're talking about having what is it like? I don't want to dub it incorrectly, but some like backup characters or something that just come out. Like you could call them during your fighting, and then they come out. So it's kind of a
So
neat
if you're talking about
gimmick.
gameplay aspect, they're called cameo characters with a K.
Cameo characters, yeah,
And these cameo characters are not playable as actual
correct.
fighters, but just as like you're doing an ability, call them out, they like assist you with like a certain combo, and then dip
Yeah,
again.
then they dip again. Yeah, so it kind of gives me like Capcom versus Marvel vibes or whatever. But some of those characters are actually used to be real. How can I put it? Playable characters. So it's kind of sad in a sense that they're kind of being downgraded to just like, yeah, let me whistle and call you out for a quick combo and then skedaddle.
Yeah.
But it gives them, I guess, like I said, it can make people happy or it could break people's hearts. But uh, supposedly that lineup is supposed to be large. How large, I don't know, but like from what I was reading, there's that is going to be obviously larger than your playable character base, and that could go, maybe it's into some crazy routes with DLC stuff.
I hope they do it right because I feel like if they do it wrong, there's gonna be a lot of cameo characters that people really like and they want to play as and not just
I
as an
know,
assist.
I know. I know.
So this could be like a double-edged sword for them. It could either turn out really
Hmm.
great or it could hurt the game
Hmm.
severely.
Hmm.
So I'm still gonna leave it up to until I play it. I don't know,
Yeah.
but supposedly because of the pre-orders that happened today, Amazon accidentally leaked more information they should have. So they announced, some of the DLC characters like Peacekeeper from DC being in there, which is John Cena's character, which most
Hmm.
likely that's the model they're gonna use.
Hmm.
Homelander from The Boys is gonna be in there. A
Probably
couple
maybe
other,
even his voice, even though he hasn't come out and say it yet, but you would think so, right?
oh, most likely they'll probably have that
Yeah.
because I mean, DC is owned by Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers also owns NetherRealm Studios, so it's just they got it right there.
Yeah.
Um, the Boys might be a little different because that's from Amazon, so they might have a partnership where they could use voice actors, but they're definitely gonna use his likeness. So I'm looking forward to the Homelander. He's one of my favorite characters, so seeing that in there and a couple other stuff, and I don't know if they released the 6 DLC cameo characters that they're adding to, but there's gonna be apparently 6 more in the first combat pack, and then they never announced anything after that because I guess they're still working on it.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, so did they release, so in that 16 or whatever minute package you watched, did they release the character select screen yet?
So this stream that they had was very not needed because they basically already told you what you already knew. And I'm like, the only thing they did was Ed Boon and I don't know who the other guy was talking about was what already seen from the trailer. They're basically just reacting. And
Okay.
then at the end, it was just basically behind the scenes on how they made the statue for the collector's edition.
Okay.
And I'm like, it was like 15 minutes, and I was like, like the first 10 minutes is just a 5 minute countdown. Then we're playing the trailer. Then Ed Boon and the other guy talking for like a couple minutes, and then them showing the behind the scenes that last a couple minutes. And I'm like, that was pointless.
Oh, it's pretty much just in the hype thing. Did the actual pre-orders go live at the end or the conclusion of that, or were they already live?
So they went live at 10 p.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Central, which was
Mhm.
our time.
Mhm.
So right when the live stream happened, that's when pre-orders went live. So it was like the worst
Gotcha.
time they did.
Okay.
Um, and because of that, I didn't watch the stream until after I was in the car. I'm already pre-ordering, and they screwed up pre-orders badly. A lot of people thought you could pre-order in the store. It was only online.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, see, I did mine. I got mine through GameStop online. I went to Target first. They were sold out already. Or at least the website told me so. So I'm like, okay, whatever. I wasn't gonna sleep if I didn't get this, but so I'm like, well, let me go GameStop. Went to GameStop. It was there. I'm like, okay, that was easy.
See, I should have did that because I was concerned that I was gonna go by like that, but there was a lot of time and I probably should have did that way. I went to the store and I talked to the guy that I'm kind of friends with at this point. He helped me secure it through his site, but he screwed up. He typed in my address wrong. So now
Mm.
even though I have the paper, I have it secured, I have to talk with customer support to change my address because somehow it's going to Springfield, Illinois, and not to my actual street.
Ooh, ouch, ouch.
So
That
I'm gonna have to be on the phone for a little bit to talk to him. I already have all the
probably,
screenshots and all that stuff taken care of. So I'm like,
ouch.
it's already secured. They already took my money. I just need to make sure that the address is changed.
Yeah, damn. And you probably already got your eyes on this as well, but per social media, there's going to be an additional steelbook that will be a GameStop exclusive in which you got to show your
Yes, the
your
paper. So if you pre-order in store like the normal and other stuff, you'll just get it whenever you go in. But if you
uh-huh,
pre-order it online, all you do is
yeah,
just bring in your paper that you purchased it, and they will still give it
correct.
to you, which I think is
Yes.
awesome. I don't know if they've ever done that before.
Yeah, I was a little shocked to see that as well. I don't know if they've done it before either, but it also the caveat though, small print while supplies last. So you kind of do need to do it quickly.
Yeah. So pretty much, if you the day before, I'd recommend just going there, saying the thing, and seeing if what people are giving
But
the group
like,
numbers. Be like, I
like
already
I got
bought it.
yeah, no, I was like, I got two copies. There's mine, and here's yours. So you hold my damn steelbook.
Yeah. But I'm secure because, like I said, I know people at 2 locations, so I'm pretty much guaranteed to get
Yeah.
one.
Well,
But I
I think the
recommend.
collector's edition steelbook looks better than the GameStop one anyway. But I mean, who doesn't want an additional steelbook? But yeah, I
You
just
wait. You
also
think
like
the collector's edition steelbook looks better than the GameStop one?
yeah. I just like that. I don't know. Maybe it reminds me of Dragonflight because it's like the same color styling. It's like that gray and white and gold. Like I like it with the dragon on it.
Hold on. Let me see if I can get a picture because I think you might have them reversed. Because the GameStop one is a white
It-
steelbook with Liu Kang
no,
on it.
yeah, GameStop is with Liu Kang.
Let me look at the collector's edition.
Collector's edition one is just that golden dragon. I don't know if it's. I don't know if they showed both sides.
That's the one for.
Yeah, that's the GameStop one.
That one looks so much better than the collector's edition.
Oh,
Yes, it looks, dude. The blue, the red, Luke Kang just looking like a
I'm
menace.
not saying it's shit. It looks nice. I'm just saying I like the collector's edition one better.
Here, let me look this up because I don't think I really gave the collector's edition one a true look.
No, I
Collector,
don't think they did.
collector. What? I keep spelling it the wrong way. Collectors.
No, you keep spelling it the right way. You need to spell it the wrong
Steelbook.
way.
Yeah, with a K.
Uh,
Let's see.
but I also like the whole, the anesthetic look of the collector's edition. Like it just
So,
looks like a nice piece overall.
the collector's edition is basically the same thing. It's just the dragon's all gold.
No, I think you're looking at the premium one.
Oh, maybe I am. Let me look again. Oh, I see this one. Yeah, I think you and I have different tastes. You're talking about
That's fine.
that one right there?
Correct. Yeah, I like it. I like it.
I'm not gonna say it looks terrible. I'm just saying, the other one looks way better. But
I like it.
supposedly the collector's edition is a true steel book, while the other one it's called a steel book, but it's not really made out of steel. I mean,
Oh,
it's
okay.
some other material. And people are
Plus
saying,
the statue. I mean, what is this? Like 18 inches? That's pretty decent. Like to me, it almost looks like a trophy, to be honest, more than a statue.
I think it's
It's
16
like
inches.
you win the Mortal Kombat tournament. Here is Liu Kang.
Ugh, I hate looking at the internet because sometimes it's so slow. I think it's 16 inches.
16. Yeah.
16.5 inches tall.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
So
dude, it looks dope.
yeah,
Do you
it looks nice.
have you so you played MK9 or Deception, Deadly Lines, and all that, right?
Man, like I said, that one, whatever version that was, I think was legit the last MK I played, and um, I don't want to say like intentionally avoided. I just didn't gravitate towards anything, and I think dare I say the only, but the the stupid selling point for me in this one is the fact that they're calling it one. As silly as it sounds, but seeing the collector's edition too, I was like, okay, this one looks pretty good. I gotta get this one.
So going back to what I was saying, the reason why I ask is because in a couple of the games, like Deadly Alliance, I believe Deception had it in MK9. There's a side game mode called Test Your Might,
Okay.
where you would have to there's like a bar and you would have to press a button at the certain point in order to break like the object.
Yeah. Hmm.
Eventually, if you got so high, there was actually like a bust like of the dragon and all that stuff that kind of looks like Liu Kang,
Hmm.
it was like one of the strongest ones, was like made out of like titanium or whatever, and you had to be like really precise, but if you messed up, you'd break your hand.
Mm.
But that statue kind of reminds me of that bust from Test Your
Mm.
Might, and I
Oh,
think
okay.
that's another reason why I really want it, is because it reminds me of the Test Your Might bust.
Gotcha. Cool.
But
So
yeah.
so going back to you're talking about the lore, which I wasn't aware of, like how you said Raiden gives his powers to Liu Kang, so therefore now he's fire and thunder god. So that the blue then is thunder then?
Mm,
Okay, because like I just thought it was
blue fire.
blue, yeah, just blue fire.
So technically, I from this it looks like blue fire, but
Hmm.
the reason why he has like the tattoo, the like the lightning tattoos, because Raiden gave it to him. But Liu Kang's power is fire, obviously,
Hmm.
and for some reason his fire, natural fire, and the lightning mixed up to have blue flames. So I don't know if they're actually dubbing it lightning, but
Huh.
I'm gonna say it's lightning fire.
Hmm. Okay. So I would also wonder if it also furthers that um that theory slash push of the choices, and maybe one kind of color is insinuating good Liu Kang, and one color is kind of insinuating bad Liu Kang. I don't know.
I think he almost represent. I still think he's gonna be a tyrant in this game because he's almost too like the point where you're almost too good to the point where you're evil.
Hmm.
And I think that's what he is. If you go off that path of righteousness, he's gonna punish you, even if it's just minor.
Hmm.
Um,
Lost the tournament. Finish
oh,
him.
going back, I think he does have lightning though, because when you see him killing Shang Tsung, he levitates in the air with his fire, but you see lightning in the background still. So
I'll have to rewatch.
I think he still has the lightning power, because I
Gotcha.
know in MK11 he does have the lightning power and his fire power.
Mm,
But I think in this one he might still have it. But yeah,
cool.
dude, I think there's a lot of speculations. People are upset saying that they hope it's not Shang Tsung that's the main bad guy, and they hope it's not Shao Kahn because obviously they've been overused.
But
Um,
but wouldn't that be apropos if they are once again calling it reset, reboot, whatever, because the original was Shang Tsung? So
dude, the reboot. I mean, all three timelines, Shang Tsung was the first bad guy.
so
Okay, I shouldn't say all three reboots. The first two reboots. This one's the third one, and if they make it the same thing, I'm just like, it's like at this point you're putting out the same trash.
yeah,
It's like change it.
yeah.
But I have a feeling the reason why they put Shang Tsung out there is to bait people thinking that he is a bad guy to disappoint him, and it turns out either Liu Kang's a bad guy, or Havoc from Chaos Realm comes out, or the Dragon King himself, Onaga. Because in this new, the previous Mortal Kombat timeline from MK9 through 11, they kind of got rid of the Elder God concept and brought Titans into the mix.
Mm,
And now there's Titans, kind of like the Void Lords in World of Warcraft. There's the
mhm,
good ones, and then there's the really bad ones.
mm,
And they're kind of taking place of like the Elder Gods and the One Being. And I have a feeling that they're going to come into place and see Liu Kang kind of being a dictator, and they're going to try to fight him and kill him.
mm. Okay, okay.
But I still want Onaga, and I still want Havoc, and I want the Chaos Realm, because the Chaos Realm, dude, in this graphic would be insane.
So let me ask this, and this is gonna come off as a negative, and I guess I am kind of making it that way. So in the trailer, I felt like when they started showing off, like whether you want to call them fatalities or what have you, I feel like the characters are more like squishy, like the way they're being fatalitied. That's a word. Um, they almost seem like gelatin in nature, and like I just don't remember them looking or taking a fatality so squishy. Has that been the narrative these last few installments?
So MK10 and 11 have definitely
Because
gone down that route because of
I
graphics.
don't know if I like that. I
This
mean,
one,
okay, let me say this. Let me preface this. Never has any fatalities been practical, okay? Like, I understand that. I understand that. But in this trailer, I felt like they were just too gelatin like over practical.
honestly, I think this one's going to come down to a preference because
Hmm.
I
Oh,
also
it always is. It truly is mine. I'm just saying, like, I just didn't like. I was just like, I'm not saying like it's totally bad, but I don't know. I guess because I'm just used to it being a little bit more um like like Kung Lao uses his hat and it like turns it like it's kind of like a buzzsaw, and but this is just him strictly using fists and raw. Like I know he's a god, I get that, but like I don't know. To me, it just seemed a little too at ease
well,
for these things to happen.
technically, if you're to, I think they're going a little too realistic with how the blood would be because if you take a body apart, like even if you look at like a pig leg or cow leg, it's gelatinous, it flails around, all that stuff. So I think that's what they're going for with the physics. Um, the fatalities, I personally have no problem with. I mean, obviously, I do know what you're talking about. The old school, like
Hmm.
Deception through 9 had more of like you kill him, rip out the spine, the body would just be there as like a solid figure and all that
Hmm.
stuff.
Hmm.
That one I just think is style preference. To me, what I don't like is the how do you say it? The look of the characters. I think they're making them too Asian because not all characters like Katana and Melina and all that stuff, they weren't Asian. They were Outlander or from Outland, and they had more of like a Middle Eastern look to them. And now they just made him completely Asian. And now Raiden, supposedly, when you see Kung Lao, and what you think is his Kung Lao Senior, which was his dad or whatever, but I think that's not Kung Lao Senior. I think that's Raiden, and Raiden looks Asian.
Yeah, I don't think. See, it's funny, like different, different views, different views. I kind of know what you're talking about, but like it just, I guess it didn't trigger me or didn't bother me none. Um, but I guess unless they make Johnny Cage and all them Asian, then I guess I'll have less to gripe about. But I don't know. Everything they showed me in that regard didn't really concern me or bother me.
And but of course, like
But
I said, this is preference because like Liu Kang, it makes sense to have him Asian, but
yeah,
like
I
Kung
mean, he's
Lao, I
always.
always thought he was Indonesian. Like the way he looked with the back temples and all that stuff, he just looks more like an Indonesian guy compared to a Chinese guy. And now everybody looks Chinese. I'm like, what happened here?
Yeah, yeah, I don't know. That didn't bother me. I thought like more like for me, I wouldn't really say it was really that bothersome either. But I felt like Luke Kane's entire figure slash embodiment to me just didn't gel well. He looks more thick.
Well,
Like
it's funny.
he has a fuller body, which I'm like, that's not the Luke King I remember. But whatever, we'll roll with it.
Well, Liu Kang's he's always been a thick boy. It's just his face kind of throws it off.
His face really does throw it off.
Like if you look at MK9 version of Liu Kang, which is still my ideal version of the models,
Hmm.
um, like body wise, he's a built dude. He's always thick, but his face
But like
makes him look slender.
but what I mean, like thick dude, like I don't know. I guess I always got like a Bruce Lee figure in mind for Luke King
Yes.
versus Mount. Yeah, versus now he's like not super muscular, but like the right, or dare I say the wrong amount of muscular. You know what I'm saying? Like he has a thicker muscular tone, thicker body weight. I guess I don't know percentage, but yeah. So I mean, once again, it wasn't really too much of a buzzkill for me. But because obviously the trailer heavily focused on him, I'm just like. The Liu King I remember, but he is a god now, so I guess he's packing on that protein. So,
So I know you asked me. I want to ask you the same
uh,
question.
sure.
How do you want the story to go?
Well, I dare I say I don't care, but I don't care because like
So
I had to ask you like for a little catch up, right? Like I don't have an opinion. I guess I guess I just want in the end something to be like that ends up like, oh, that was really dumb, which might happen.
I feel like I was spoiled because I came from the original, Mortal
Hmm.
Kombat. Like
Hmm.
Mortal Kombat 4 was technically my first one. I played at my uncle's house. But like
Hmm.
obviously Mortal Kombat 1 through 3 takes place between Shang Tsung and Shao Kahn. And
Hmm.
then Deadly Alliance kind of goes back a little bit more and shows Shang Tsung and Quan Chi forming their
Hmm.
deadly alliance because they want to take down Shao Kahn because they can't do it themselves, and also their other greatest adversary besides Shao Kahn is Liu Kang. So their deadly alliance kills both of them at the same time, and because both of those prominent figures are out of the way, leads the path to deception, where you see Raiden come into play. He's now a factor, and he's like, yes, to relinquish his Elder God says to stop both Shang Tsung and uh, Quan Chi from basically re resurrecting the Dragon Army from Onaga, and then Armageddon. You see that because they did what they did and they brought Onaga back, all this calamity is being brought back. So they got to bring all these fighters to stop Onaga, and because of all this power scaling happening, because their powers are so big, that it would break the world. and you see all these characters like Shinnok, another Elder God. You see Havoc from the Chaos Realm. You see the Chaos Realm itself. You see the Eldian worlds. You see basically the Elder God realm as well. And in the second, from MK9 to MK11, you don't see any of that. It's just basically the same repeat of MK1 to 3. And they have so many great characters they could use. I feel like they just don't utilize them.
Yeah, it makes me wonder. Like I said, I haven't been in tune with the IP and what community really says about things, right? Um, it makes me wonder if there was like community feedback that they didn't like that. Like I don't know. Like I don't have an answer for that. All I know is like from my perspective, and it's not a great one. I just fell off, and I wasn't drawn into it. Like and not to like spoil our next topic, but we're gonna talk about all fighting games, right? I think I've liked or gravitated to MK the most, but yet somehow story wise, it's never really fully captivated me. Like how you're talking about it, um, which maybe I just need to brush up on lore. I guess I'm more like I fell off because of more characters, right? And all these different universes you're talking about, which sounds very fascinating, and it sounds like I would enjoy it, but I just never kept up with it. Like I guess I'm not to say I'm a purist, but maybe this would also help me get back into it if they are bringing back the original characters like they kind of showed in the trailer. Um, but yeah, I just like all that stuff I didn't know about. Like even talk about like the Deadly Alliance. Like I have played enough Mortal Kombat, but not in continuation, right? Like I do remember one where you finally get to play as Shang Kahn, and it's like, oh, this is awesome, and I don't know what version that was, but like I
I
just
think that might have
never.
been Deception.
I think so. I think you're right. And then you mentioned Shinnok. As you were mentioning these names, like, oh yeah, I remember that one. I remember that being the new bad guy. I remember that one. But when you talk about like Umaga or whatever his name is,
Onaga?
Unaga, Umaga, that was a wrestler, and I think you did that last week or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. I kept wanting to
Like
call Henry Cavill Mark Henry.
yeah, Mark Henry, that was the one. That was the one. So with that said, like that one, I have no knowledge of, no understanding of. Like Quan Chi, I remember him coming about. I remember Shinnok, and that's kind of when I started falling off. I'm like, I know it's probably easy to follow up and how can I say keep up with, but for whatever reason, when I was playing them, I didn't keep up with it. Like I lost interest because there was all these additional people, which is very odd.
So it's kind of weird because like let's go for the second time on MK9 to MK10.
Mm-hmm,
I felt like that was the if we're gonna use the word reboot, it was like the
mm-hmm,
perfect thing because MK9
mm-hmm,
it followed the events from MK1 to 3 all in one game. You basically got Shang Tsung, Quan Chi, and then Shao Kahn all in that one game, leading to basically Liu Kang's death by Raiden because he wants to change the outcome. But then MK10 takes place 20 years later. And then basically Quan Chi wanted this to happen. He resurrected Liu Kang, and now he's basically a deviant form to work under the Elder God Shinnok. And I'm like, okay, that's a good continuation. Then you see, like I said, these legacy characters have children that they could pass the torch on to. And I was like, okay, they're finally getting a good sequel where they're finally progressing the storyline past these characters that they've overused.
mm-hmm.
And then MK11 happened, and they're like, all right, we're done with using those characters. We're going back to the original. I'm like, you just ruined the whole entire story with that whole 11.
So what you said right there were like child characters, right, and trying to pass a torch. See, that's where I wonder. Like, it'd be interesting to, and maybe you do have a pulse on this, but like, I wonder what the feedback from the community was, because maybe it was bad. Maybe people didn't like it, and that's why now they're just trying to pull it back again. Like, I don't know.
So
Like,
I think there's two responses to this. The
mm-hmm,
older people like me
mm-hmm,
and older than
mm-hmm,
that
mm-hmm,
like that story continuation because we grew up with those characters. We were ready for them to move on. But
mm-hmm,
because a lot of us are older and a lot of us are dropping off from the game, we're like, all right, time to reintroduce these characters again for a new generation. And I
mm-hmm.
think that's why we're having the split because I'm not gonna say everybody hates it or everybody
Mm-hmm.
loves it.
Mm-hmm.
People that the newer generation love MK11 and they love this new Switch. But the older people like me that's been with us for a long time, we're not really liking it because we've already seen it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the assumption is you've already seen it, right? They could still do a swerve that might be like, oh shit, I didn't see that coming, or you feel really confident that we're probably gonna get the rehash all over again.
I'm hoping that MK1 is just doing this for the sake of new generation, reintroduce these old characters, but the second game, MK2, whatever they want to call it, that's when they start giving it the true sequel, like because they want to claim it like a dub as a second reboot. That's
Mm-hmm.
where I hope they actually continue the storyline where it's like, okay, you get Katana, you get Liu Kang and all this stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
then the second one, we're gonna bring back those children and then have them deal with new enemies that we were previously looking at, and then have them continue the storyline from there. That's what I'm hoping for.
Mm-hmm.
But this is all speculation. I mean, if they do the
Yeah,
same route, the new generation's still probably gonna enjoy it. The older
yeah,
generation will probably just continue to phase out.
yeah. Well, for me, I guess like I don't mean to say this in a very negative manner, but my expectation bar is kind of low. Um, so like I said, I'm just really latching on to something really good for a solo play mode. Um, story mode, what have you. Conquest mode. Those were fun. I do remember them, like with the crypt and trying to unlock it, like stuff like that. To me, is fun. Um, the story part, when it came to Mortal Kombat, story part was always back burner to me. It always has been, and not to say it was shit or it sucked. It just didn't really matter that much to me. Um, so with that said, I just want a really good story mode, whatever that may be.
So, besides story, if we're talking about purely gameplay,
Mm-hmm.
they've always increased the bar. Like the combat always gets better, the combinations get better. Um, I can't really speak for these cameo characters. Hopefully, they've done well where you don't feel like you miss them, but you get like the little nod that you deserve. But the story, like for the campaign, whatever, even if the story is rehashed, I don't care. But if they give us like an actual conquest mode to like either Deception or Shaolin monks, and give us multiple choice in how these character relations interact with each other, like you could either be enemies or friends or whatever. Um, that would be really cool to me to change. If I can make some guy, like let's say for example Katana, that's historically known as the better daughter, the good daughter, and change her to be evil, or have both Katana and Melina be best friends and they're both on the good side, or turn Shao
Like
Kahn
like
good.
like super bad bitches.
Yeah, like that'd be cool. Like Jade would be the enemy, but Melina and Katana are good, or Shao Kahn's
Mm-hmm.
a good guy and
Mm-hmm.
Shang Tsung's a good guy, but then it turns out Raiden's actually the evil guy.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be
Yeah.
cool to see.
Yeah, I think like the trailer kind of definitely heavily hints at that, right? Like, and if you apply that to said story mode, then in theory you could have a story mode that's not that entirely long, that you would then be, dare I say, forced, but you would then replay for different types of, um, resolutions, right? Or
And
different conclusions.
realistically, they've done it before. Like obviously
Exactly.
not to that in depthness, but like
Yeah.
whenever you beat like I guess the campaign,
Yeah.
they have like, oh, if this guy wins the tournament, then he does this result or whatever.
Exactly. But
It's
it was
just
never really in your control like a story mode would be,
yeah.
where you say, no, this is the path I wanted, or this is the decision. Yeah, no, totally with you.
So I think it'd be good. Even like I said, even
Yeah.
if they rehash the same story, if they actually nailed that part of the campaign down, I'm still gonna enjoy it. The fighting, like the online, I'm telling you, this year is the year I'm gonna get back into fighting games. So I'm looking forward to that. And like I said, it's always been improved on every single iteration when it comes to like just person fighting.
Well, what you said on your last statement to kind of assist us if you're ready to transition to topic two,
That's
you
where I
want
was
to get
leading.
back into fighting games. This is going to be your year.
Well, it's not just my year. It seems like the year
For
for
any
everybody.
anybody, and I'm actually going to add on to this, by the way. So watch yourself here.
Okay,
There's something coming. You're not anticipating here with fighting games. Let me just
you're
say
going
that.
full force Smash
I'm going
Bros.
full for no. Well, actually, to that point, no. To that point, before we started our podcast, by the way, there is a Smash tournament going on Twitch. I don't know if you noticed it, and if you heard me listen to it. but I was watching one, and which kind of blew my mind a little bit because we had talks about fighting the genre of fighting games a podcast or two ago, and we had mentioned how Nintendo basically shoots their own IP in the foot. So I was like, wait, how's a Smash tournament going on that's not being like funded or whatever by Nintendo? Like, did they actually get this sanctioned and get their approval? I would assume so. Otherwise, it'd be shut down, right? Like, so. Anyways, I just wanted to throw
Well,
it out
did you
there
find
'cause I
out what
thought
it was?
it was
So
called
there's
BTS
community
Smash.
tournaments. Was there an actual like paid prize pool?
I would think so. This one looked. I truly don't know. I only watched it for 20 minutes ish, and there's some good stuff going on. Actually, there was like a 2v1 moment, and the one person came out on top. That was pretty dope.
Oh, dude,
Like
I wish you told me about that. I would have watched, or I would have tried to like watch it.
I'll send it to you. I didn't clip it, but someone else clipped it, so I favorited the clip.
Well,
So
just send me the
it to
channel
you.
because I could probably watch the past broadcast if they still have it.
Okay, I'll see if I can do it. It was BTS Smash, whatever BTS
I'm
stands
probably
for. I
gonna
don't know.
forget that. I'm bad at remembering names.
I'll remember for you.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, so with that said, I think there should have probably been a question mark at the end of this time. But another golden age for fighting games is or of fighting games is.
I don't
is
think
our
this is a
topic.
question mark. I think it's almost a
No,
fact.
we don't know yet. We really don't know yet.
I'm at,
Everything that's coming out is new. Street Fighter is coming out in a couple weeks. Tekken's released. I don't know when Tekken's is, August or something. And then we now know MK is in September. And now you also mentioned Dragon Ball Z is having one. I don't know anything about that. But the other one I want to throw on there, and yes, it does fit fighting games. Also next month coming out finally, or it hasn't been officially announced, but it's been kind of leaked. Talking about leaks again. AEW's first wrestling game is coming out
oh,
allegedly next month.
I
So
thought
that's
we already knew that. You told. I think you mentioned that like 20 episodes ago that they were making one.
No. I had mentioned they're making one, but it may actually finally come out next month, is what I'm saying. So not many people will probably put wrestling games in the fighting game category, but I'm going to do it. So I'm throwing it in there with the fighting games. There probably won't be any tournaments about it, but
A weird segue.
Sure.
That I guess kind of adds to this. Would you really say wrestling games are a fighting game, or are they more of a brawler game? Because brawlers and fighting games are two different things.
Well, because you would say Smash is a brawling game, then, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I think AEW's version would probably fall under brawling category instead. Reason being is because I think it's going to play more like an arcade type game, which is another reason why I'm looking forward to it, because I liked that style of wrestling fighting games anyway. I'm still calling it fighting games.
That's fine. We're not being too technical here.
Yeah. But I think it probably would fall more under brawling.
Because I know WWE 2K23. I didn't play it, but I know friends that play it. That's technically a fighting game because there's actual counters, blockings, and all that stuff in there.
Correct.
And reverse grappling. So
Correct.
that's actually a fighting game, not a brawler game.
Correct. No, and that's why I'm calling this one. I'm pretty sure this one, the AEW one, is going to be more of a brawler one. Because it's going to be more the action style. Where there still will be like countering and stuff, but not like the 2K version. Like, I know what you're talking about. I can't really put it into words, but I know what you're talking about.
It's funny. Dude, his name is Dominic. You might like him because he's another wrestling fan, and he's one of those people that just not saying anything bad about him. He just won't shut up about wrestling. He's like, dude, you like fighting games. You like fighting games. Get WWE 2K23. You're gonna like it. I'm like, if I'm not interested in the characters, I'm like, I'm not gonna like it. The gameplay might be good, but I'm like, I'm not gonna like it. But he's like, dude, just watch these clips. You're gonna like it. I'm like, yeah, they're cool, but I still don't care about the characters.
So even though, well, part of the reason why I've never played them is because I don't follow WWE anymore. But I had stopped playing wrestling games for a long time because I felt like they became too technical. I just didn't. When UFC dropped their game, wrestling games kind of mirrored that concept, and I'm like, no, it doesn't do it for me anymore. I don't like it. It's not fun. It's not fun to me.
UFC 2009 is the best UFC game.
Huh?
I said UFC 2009 is the best UFC game.
Well, I don't know. I'm just saying, like, that play style, right? That's kind of where wrestling games went. I'm not a fan of it. Now, the realism and how it looks, fucking great. The creative wrestling modes are the best. The customization and what people do when creating wrestlers is like phenomenal. Those that are out there that do that work, kudos to y'all. You are amazing. Um, but no, the AEW one is going to be more arcade looking driven, back to like the PS2, even N64 days type fighting games or brawling games, wrestling games, we want to call them. So that's why I'm looking forward to it. Like that's more my speed.
So,
So
are you gonna? Oh, well, obviously, you're a huge fan of AEW. Are you gonna get the game?
yes.
Did you already
Uh,
pre-order it? Oh wait, no, the
no, I
pre-orders haven't
didn't.
gone live, right?
No. They actually have had pre-orders, but I've procrastinating, and I'm still procrastinating because I was hopeful for some sort of like collector's edition, which they've never announced. So since they haven't, it almost makes me wonder if there's not even going to be one, which I'll be a little upset about that. Like, how is your first ever video game not going to have a collector's edition of some
I don't
sort? I
think
don't know.
WWE ever had a collector's edition. They obviously have premium editions, which is like you get DLC or some kind of credit
Oh,
system, whatever.
oh, oh no, their tiers are just like the Mortal Kombat did. You'll have your premium, and then you'll have your super ultra one that would come with like an autograph or some shit.
Really?
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that fairly recent? Because I don't remember that for like because
Um,
well I haven't played WWE since like SmackDown vs Raw 2006 to 2008.
and I love those games so much.
Those are good.
No, they are. They're fantastic. Um, I don't know how long they've been doing it, but they have been. I know they have been.
Because I think what like the latest one I know, obviously I'm going to say 2K23 because that was
Uh-huh.
Rey Mysterio. I think that was on the cover, or was it Eddie
I thought
Bravo?
unless it hasn't come out yet, but I thought the latest one had John Cena or was revolved around John Cena.
Okay, maybe 2022
I
had that
think
one.
yeah, I think you're right. I think last year's
Did I call him Eddie Bravo? I think it's Eddie Guerrero. That's his name.
Oh, Eddie Guerrero. No, I don't think Eddie Guerrero was ever really in the spotlight
Because
for 2K.
I know it came with like the mask, the luchador mask, but that was about it.
Yeah, that would be Rey Mysterio for sure.
Okay.
Oh wait, so you're saying that collection came with a mask?
I didn't know if they like dubbed it as a collector's edition. I thought it was just a premium edition that just came with the mask.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was like a
If it came
hundred
with a
and
mask, that's pretty
something,
cool.
$150, something like that.
That's pretty cool if it came with a mask.
So
But anyways,
don't
I want to throw that into the lineup to kind of add that and to fuel how this year is just really it's turning into a big fighting game genre year.
this is definitely a year for fighting games.
We have all the bigs on the table, all the bigs. The only one missing still, which may get revealed in the future because they did announce something about Evo, right? Now we know MK's in the fold. Still haven't heard about Soul Calibur. That's like the last pillar.
So before we go back into that, going back to WWE, have you played WWE All Star Brawl or All
No,
Stars?
no. I know which one you're talking about.
I think you might like that because it's kind of like that
I
classic
know.
brawler game.
Yeah, I know
That's
it's an
cool.
arcadey one, but no,
Big
that
head Stone
one's
Cold Steve Austin.
yeah, no, that one's too that's like the chibi wrestling style game.
I think I had that because it was like free for PlayStation or something.
Yeah,
Well, going back, yeah. Honestly, dude, I think Soul Calibur's dead. I don't think they're gonna make
you
another
think
one.
so? Really?
Just because I looked at the PS3 version and I played the PS3 version, it wasn't good, and ever since then they haven't made a single peep about another one.
Maybe it's their time. This is the year. This is the year.
I hope so. It'd be really cool because to me it's like I don't want to use this as a negative term, but it's like the more realistic version of a Smash Bros. Where you get this collaboration of cameo characters in one game. Um, it's
Oh,
just
because didn't Evo promise a new fighting game reveal, right?
well,
Am I
well
wrong about that?
technically they already promised two of them, and we just got them. We're
But no,
supposedly going to see more
I thought,
gameplay of Mortal Kombat, Tenkin, and also Dragon Ball Budokai
but I
Tenkaichi
thought
4.
there was an exclusive reveal at the show, not like how we have them now already. Unless I'm wrong.
I can't remember that part, dude. The Evo information like overflooded me, and this was like almost a month ago. All I
Hmm.
remember is that we're gonna get three fighting games, and Mortal Kombat was leaked, and turns out it was true because we just got it,
Yeah,
and supposedly more gameplay is gonna be leaked at Evo.
yeah.
But if they do have another one, dude, it's gonna be an interesting one because Street Fighter 15, or sorry, um,
15.
no, what's that game called?
Street Fighter 6?
King of Fighters 15.
Oh, King of Fighters. Gotcha.
Yeah, KOF 15. They also
Yeah.
have Blue something that came out too. They also have Guilty Gear Strive that just came out. So it's like the
Hmm.
number of games that could possibly be like,
Hmm.
you know, premiered there is so small now because all the big games already came out or they've already been announced.
Yeah. Like I know they did it once and it did. I think we had a discussion. It did okay, but I would like to see another Killer Instant, to be honest. But a better done one.
Okay, so if what you're saying is true, because I don't remember if they had an exclusive premiere, because I don't remember hearing that part. I just heard that they were going to have information to the big fighting games.
Gotcha.
But let's say if they do have this one, which I don't
Hmm.
know if it's true or not.
Hmm.
Which one would you rather see, a Killer Instinct or a Soul Calibur 6 or 7?
Um, even though I'm not a huge fan, and the only one I ever played was I forgot the number, but the one that was on GameCube because I had Link. Um, I'd probably still be Soul Calibur just because it's the bigger name. I mean, I've played.
Would Soul Calibur be bigger than
Or
Killer Instinct? I think Killer Instinct might be the bigger name.
damn, that's a good question.
We'll leave that
Very
up for
good
the
question.
community to answer because I think
Yeah,
this one's debatable.
that is a good debate. Yeah, that is a good one. I don't know. It's funny you say it that way because like I played a hell of a lot more Killer Instinct than I ever played Soul Calibur, but I still feel like Soul Calibur is the more, dare I call it, household name, because I feel like Killer Instinct is more of a cult popular game. And maybe I'm really wrong. Maybe someone will go on the comment section and be like, "Steve, you're a fucking idiot," and that is fine.
Well, they also had one
But
of the benefits of being one of the first fighting games.
or maybe Clay Fighters gets resurrected. I don't know. That would be pretty comical. um, yeah, I don't know. But let's drive away from the what ifs, right? Let's talk about what's on our plate, right? So, um, we both just pre-ordered MK Collector's Edition. Looking forward to it. It's definitely the one that I think um, I gravitate towards the most. My second slash like 1B would probably be Street Fighter, but this one, I'm still not 100% sold yet. If I buy it, it'll probably be later when they have like a second release, like that complete release, right? Like I'm just not fully sold on it. Like I like the theme that they're doing. I like the theme, but it's just not my theme, right? Like and the theme makes sense because it's streets, it's Street Fighter. Like and that's why I think it fits them. I'm just not a fan of it. I guess it's as silly as that sounds. It's really weird. But and then Tekken, man, Tekken 2 is one franchise I haven't really played a lot of. Tekken 3 was my favorite. That one I played a shit ton of. I loved it. Outside of that, I haven't been really much of a Tekken fan. So I'll have to see more of this. I have to. I don't have a pre-order in, and they'll have to do some selling on me. So those are the bigs. We'll throw Dragon Ball Z. I'm not a Dragon Ball Z fan, guy, so I definitely won't be touching that with a 10-foot pole. Sorry, it's not that I hate it. It's just it's not my IP. So those are all the big ones. And those are my stance on it. And another golden age of fighting games. As far as a golden age of releases, facts. Yes, this is a year. Is it a golden age on whether or not they're going to be good? That remains to be seen.
So the reason why I say this is another golden age is because, despite what you said about Street Fighter, I think a lot of people are looking forward to it because of the story, and also it just looks great. And supposedly all the people that are playing it are saying it's fantastic. For me, I'm interested because I haven't been into Street Fighter games since Street Fighter 3 Third Strike or whatever that came out like PS2 or whatever, PS3.
So you have a similar well, I won't say love, but you have a similar history with Street Fighter like I do in Mortal Kombat then.
Kinda, yeah.
Mm.
I mean, I did play 4, I did play 5, but it wasn't a lot. Because to me, 4 and 5
You,
kind of felt the same.
you and me both.
um, but seeing that Street Fighter 6 is almost that sequel that we needed, because if you look at it, Ryu, whatever you want to call his name, He's
Hmm.
older now. He almost looks like his master. Ken's also older. Now they have new characters coming in that are basically supposed to be their successors. And I have a feeling we're finally going to see these old characters finally put to rest, or at least see them, put on the side, and you have these new characters come into place, and we're going to have the story progress even more. And I'm looking forward to that. Just like I
Okay.
love the way King looks. Is that his name? No. Oh, sorry. King's Tekken. Tekken.
Yeah, King
Uh,
is second. That's
what's
why
what's the other guy? He almost looks like King.
in Street Fighter.
Yeah.
Uh, fuck.
He's
I'm
one of the
not too
new
sure.
characters, and then also that he looks Brazilian or Jamaican. He's dancing.
Like, well, I know they have DJ, but he never wore a mask unless now they gave him a mask.
There was a character that was N5 in the
Mm,
championship edition, so it looks like he's in this one. I'm interested in. I can't
Okay.
remember his name because I barely played it, so
Yeah, I'm not familiar with all the five releases myself, so it's hard for me to know what you're talking about, unfortunately.
but then there's a
Uh,
character in Street Fighter 6. I
uh-huh,
don't know his name. Like I said, he's either Brazilian or Jamaican. He's wearing like a yellow
uh-huh.
outfit, and he does a lot of like street dancing, almost like God, what's that?
Eddie
Brazil-
Gordo from Tekken.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
But he looks really cool, and I'm like just seeing this new cast of characters and seeing that the old legacy characters are getting older and phasing out. It's got me excited to see the story progression. And also, I know you said you don't like the look of it,
Yeah.
but I love the street art style to the graphics, and the background just looks beautiful, and the combat looks really good.
Yeah, I think I need to do I need to do more homework, but like based on what I saw, like I just it's not gravitating towards like I said, to use the word beautiful, it does look beautiful. I agree with that. Like the theme of it all, it fits, it makes sense, it looks good. I'm just not, it's not my theme, right? Like I'm not into like the, even though I also grew up on the streets or whatever, but
The
I'm
street
not into the
style, but
graffiti. I'm
yeah.
not into the graffiti art. I'm not into all that shit. I actually a little bit despise it if I'm being honest. But
Wait, hold on. Do you despise tagging or graffiti art? Because graffiti art is different than tagging.
tagging, yeah, I know there's a difference. I know there's a difference.
Okay.
I wouldn't say despise the graffiti art. It's still just really not my totally my thing. But no, you're right. It's a different art form. 100%. I'm with you. Um, but yeah, I guess I gotta see more. Just like Mortal Kombat. Like I haven't been doing my homework, and I know there's a lot more info on Street Fighter there's right now than Mortal Kombat. So I probably need to go back out and do some homework and see if I am selling myself on this. Um, but yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at with that. Sorry, I kind of stole your thunder there again. My fault.
No. You didn't see. I was looking up the stuff because like, uh, there's a guy I watch. He's pretty prominent in the fighting game community. His name is Maximilian Dude. I'm not sure if you heard of him.
Nope.
He's on Twitch. I mean, he's a pretty big streamer, but he's played pretty much all the fighting games. He's making it look good. All the people that I follow for fighting games, they've been playing a lot of Street Fighter 6, and the beta is also open beta is out right now. Like you play it
Yeah.
right now, which I'm going to play it after the stream and I'm gonna live stream it. But
Mm-hmm.
so far everybody that's play it, they like the characters, they like their combat abilities, but not only that, but the online connection is supposedly far superior than 5. Like they are finally getting it right
Hopefully.
because they have
I mean,
rollback net coding. They also have a latency balance where even if you're far away, they kind of either if you're like you have faster internet, they'll delay you so you both even. So it seems like it's a balanced system.
cool. Like I said, I will do more homework with it. I would like to, get involved with more fighting games myself. I mean, obviously I'm not going pro or anything. I'm not that good. Never was. But yeah, I do miss my fighting game fix, no doubt, for sure.
But continuing on to
Yes.
prove my point that I think this is another golden age of fighting
Yes.
games is despite the story, if Mortal
Mm-hmm.
Kombat story is good or bad, the gameplay is still
Mm-hmm.
going to be good. Like I said, the one-on-one fighting has been universally said to be better. Like from 10 to 11, most likely they're going to keep it going. Where it's always a hit with fighting people. Um, Tekken, let's be honest, Tekken fans are super hardcore. I don't think they've ever had a bad entry, maybe except for Tekken 4 or what was it 4? There was one Tekken that people didn't like, or maybe it was Tekken Tag. But so far, every Tekken, all the fans have always adored. But they've always been like that. No entry is a bad entry. And
Hmm.
Tekken 8, seeing Jin Kazuma, whatever his name is, and then the Mishima family fighting each other, and they're kind of like getting their head conflict going, and then seeing Jack 8 is also pretty cool. I mean, so far, like I said, Tekken, you know what you're getting into. The iteration has always been very similar to every entry. So if the previous one was good, this next one's gonna be good because they don't change much except for graphics and story.
Hmm. Hmm.
But Street Fighter, like I said, that was the only one that was skeptical, and seeing a lot of people stream it and love it, that almost confirms that these three big hitters are going to be fantastic. And then I know you're not into Dragon Ball. I haven't really played much of the Dragon Ball games, but from Xenoverse, I think that's the name, Xenoverse 2 to Dragon Ball Fighters. Some people call it Fighter Z, but I think it's just called Fighters. And then also Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, which I guess was good, but it wasn't as good as Fighter Z Fighters, so they went back to that one. And then everybody loves in the entries, the Budokai Tenkaichi series has always been considered the best Dragon Ball series they had, and the fact that they're finally getting a fourth entry into that series, people are looking forward to because people still consider that the supreme version of Dragon Ball. And if the original people come back, which supposedly they are, and they've had many years to work on this, and some of the fighters developers are going to be in it, the combat's just going to be good.
So, pardon my ignorance, but we also briefly mentioned King of Fighters, and we obviously haven't really given them the biggest spotlight. Is there gameplay slash graphic design, I guess? Is it still like what would that be? A
It's more like Street
32?
Fighter.
No, no, no. Oh, is it? It's like Street Fighter nowadays? Because I was gonna ask if it's more like the 32-bit type, to like Guilty Gear, like still kind of like a you know
So
flat
Guilty,
graphics.
they all have. So they're still 2D fighters, but with 3D characters. If that makes sense.
Okay. No, no, it
Um.
does. That's what I guess what I'm trying to like articulate. Like how does it look? Because I haven't seen anything for King of Fighters.
So King of Fighters and Guilty Gear Strive, I can't say too much to you except for like the brief streams I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Guilty Gear Strive, it still has obviously that modern updated look, but the characters are, how do you say it, more designed to be cartoon like, animated like.
Yes. Correct. Correct.
So
Correct.
that still is the same.
Okay.
They just have a 3D body, but they
Okay.
still retain that like 2D cartoon look.
Okay.
Um, King of Fighters is probably the game I know least of. I
Okay.
have it for PlayStation because it came out for free, but
Uh-huh.
what I seen, it looks like Street Fighter, just with different
Okay.
characters.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. Because that was my question. If it looked more like Guilty Gear or like the new stuff. Okay. Cool. Cool. I was just curious about it because like I guess to kind of also build on that. This is all hypothetical and maybe nobody in the world would want this, but just for sake of you know discussions here, out of all the bigs that we talked about, which of those would you like to see go back to that kind of art style?
Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat.
So
Quick answer.
this is 100% a personal opinion because everybody
Yeah.
has different art styles.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, MK9 was the best in my opinion for character model and um bodily violence. Like whenever you take a hit in Mortal Kombat 9, your body actually rips apart. Like you'll see like bruises or skin ripped apart depending on where you're hit or what you're hit with.
Hmm.
I've never seen that in any other Mortal Kombat game except Mortal Kombat 9, and for some reason they got rid of it in Mortal Kombat 10. It's like you had a perfect bloody system where if you
Hmm.
get hit with the blade, the skin's gonna be ripped off. It's like,
Hmm.
why do you not keep that? Obviously, it might be
Hmm.
too gorish or gratuitous, whatever you want to call it. But it looked cool, and also the character models look cool. Plus,
Hmm.
I'm gonna say it. I know it's sexist, but I like looking at Katana, Melina, and Jade in their very revealing suits with the biggest boobs you'll ever see.
Yeah, I think I remember one of them, like one of the alternate costumes, or maybe it was a DLC, was like pretty much virtually nothing. Like it was like pasties or something. I was like, what?
That was probably Melina. Like she had like little bandage tape around her breast, and
Yeah,
that's it.
yeah, yep. And I was like, wow, okay, okay, here's where we're at.
and that's where I want to go. Like I know people
So,
like
so
say
it's funny. It's funny. I'm sorry, but I have to get this out before I forget. It's funny you mention that, but from the male demographic side, because I don't know if you saw, there's a meme out where it like all the new characters from the new trailer, they're all like fully covered, but back in the day, they're all showing their ripped abs or what have you. But now all the characters are like all fully covered. I just thought that was hilarious. I'm like, I didn't take notes of that, maybe because I didn't fucking care, but it's pretty funny that that was an observation. So, anyways, I just want to bring that
so.
out there. I don't know if you realized it, but
So if we're going from a story character progression, it makes sense to make them fully clothed and give them like an actual proper battle attire.
I'm
But
with
I
you.
don't care. I want to go back to
Exactly.
the old Mortal Kombat where I seen everything and like give me Sonya Blade looking as fine as she was. Give me Katana looking. Well, actually, forget it. People always go for Katana. I was more of a fan of Melina. I don't care about her mouth. I don't care if she's Baroccan. Tongue, everything. I don't go. Just give it to me.
I think I always like Jade.
Oh, dude, she's a real one. If you played MK10 and 11, you'll love her even more because she's very loyal to Kotal Khan, which is a new Khan of Outworld.
Mm.
And dude, she's Bay.
She's big. But anyway, okay, that's cool. I was thanks for entertaining my question, by the way. I think I don't want to say I would like to see it for all of them, but like but you know, maybe this is just me showing my age, and that's totally fine. But I kind of really do miss the era like that. Like I think that's kind of what's been, uh, dare I say, turned me off on the recent, you know, generations of gaming that or fighting games that's been coming out because of that progression and natural progression, right? People want that, but I do kind of really miss the old style a little bit.
For Tekken and Street Fighter, I'm gonna have to disagree because I think their new models look fantastic, especially Tekken. Like, dude, Jack 7, Jack 8, even Jin, his double form, and what's his name? Kazuya
Well,
Mishima,
well,
Dad.
Tekken really has been the one that's really always been kind of really more 3D than the others.
Oh, it's
You
definitely the
know,
first. They're full. I mean, Mortal Kombat did it with Deadly Alliance through Deception, and then they went back to 2D fighting. But Tekken, it's definitely been the universal standard.
correct, correct. Like Street Fighters, well, much like Mortal Kombat, you could see that steady progression of evolved, you know, graphics and just design versus, yeah, Tekken's kind of really always been like that.
Well,
Um,
I feel like
but
Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat still stay true to their. I mean, obviously, Mortal Kombat tried to deviate in their earlier iterations, but they still
yes,
hold that 2D fighter. They just have
well,
3D
well,
models. That's it.
no, true. But also, Street Fighter also did try their like kind of best Tekken with, like, I think it was like the EX series, wasn't it?
I
EX3, because I remember playing one that kind of like not fully functioned like Tekken, because Tekken does have a unique fighting style or gameplay, but I remember them trying the whole like 3D type, like strafing and stuff like that. They had a few games like that.
it's very possible. I probably didn't play those games. Like I said,
I know I played one, and I thought it was okay. It wasn't, you know, obviously back then it was like, oh, why are they doing this? This isn't Street Fighter, but I thought it was okay.
the only
It
Street Fighter
wasn't.
I truly played was Street Fighter Third Strike. The other ones, like
Oh,
Street
no,
Fighter 4 and
but
5,
the
was very minuscule.
Street.
And
I don't know what it is with threes because I mentioned Tekken 3, but also Street Fighter Alpha 3, Chef's Kiss. I fucking love that one.
you didn't like Third Strike, the remake that
The
enhanced the
Third Strike,
combos?
it was okay, but like Alpha 3 was mine. That was my cake. That was
So,
my cake.
so let me ask you this, since you're more of a Street Fighter guy than I am. Have you played the Marvel vs. Capcom games?
I played them, but I never got into them, like, once again, because I was never really a comic guy, and I know that's not the reason why you get into them, but I guess like then that was kind of like why I didn't. Um, they're huge to this day, and they never went to 3D models. They still were all 2D. Um, and then they kind of, you know, they started doing a lot of different verses, right? It was versus Capcom as a whole, right? They did, or Street Fighter versus Capcom, Street Fighter. I forgot how many
So,
different iterations
I
they
don't know if
had.
they have. Maybe they've had a Street Fighter, but I know there's been a huge iterations of Marvel vs. Capcom because the
Marvel
third
vs. Capcom,
one
yeah.
had, I think, three iterations. They had Marvel vs. Capcom, Marvel vs. Capcom 3 Ultimate or whatever, and then they had Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, which eventually went to PS4 because that's when the PS4 came out, and that was basically like their complete edition, and it had all the characters and the best actual iteration that they had. Which I feel bad for the people that played Marvel vs. Capcom 3 because they screwed their player base really bad. Apparently, they released Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and then like not even 2 months later, they were announcing the second version to come out, and they're like the first people that bought it were like, the game just came out, and now you're gonna give us, now you're saying that we screwed ourselves because we bought early.
See,
um,
but the other thing you got to think about, and maybe you could, because you said what there was PS4, right? PS4.
yeah.
Um, now I don't know if this is a good excuse, but um, like at least the earlier ones in that, like you didn't have the benefit of downloading DLC, right? And as much as we talk and hate like microtransactions and stuff, but like that's kind of what it is, right? You're re-releasing a full copy with extra content, which is in theory that DLC patch, right? So some of those games didn't have that benefit, right? So to your point, like screwing, like is it kind of like screwing? Yeah, but at the same time, like
No, this instance is 100% screwing over the players
okay,
because they announced it, and then 2 months later they literally announced the second version, and then 6 months later they announced the Ultimate Edition, and
see,
they
but
were
that's
all legit the same price within
yeah,
not even a full year time length,
yeah.
and
See,
you
but
get
that but
everything at the
that's
end.
really been like their MO, right? And that's why like I'm not even too certain even I mean, regardless, Street Fighter 6 is going to be a massive success, no doubt, but like um after everything is released and after the dust settles after a few months, like, you know, what is that then next installment, right? Or what have you. That's why I think I'm going to play the waiting game cuz like that's their MO,
Well,
right? Like
with Street Fighter, this is definitely the case. Like Street Fighter,
yeah.
I mean, even Street Fighter 4, they had
Yeah.
Street Fighter Gold,
Mhm.
Street Fighter Ultimate, or whatever, Street Fighter 4 Ultimate, and then with 5, they did the same thing again, 3 different iterations: Street Fighter Arcade, Street Fighter Championship Edition. It's like, come on, Street Fighter.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. That's been the MO ever since Super Nintendo days. Like Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 2, or Super Street Fighter 2, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Like it's and all you did was have an option to make the fighting style faster. That's it.
So basically, Street Fighter is the Call of Duty of the fighting game world, where it's just microtransaction littered everywhere.
Except your microtransactions, go out and buy another full copy.
Dude, so it's kind of funny that we talk about this. Obviously, Street Fighter does play the money game where they're like, okay, we're gonna keep bringing stuff out so people can keep buying. Tekken, on the other hand, is the reverse. They're like, all right, we're gonna release a game. You're gonna get a new character 2 years later, and then you're gonna enjoy that character until another 2 years later. You're gonna get another character, and then 9 years down the line, we may tease you with another game.
Yeah. And you know, everybody has their model, and that kind of makes them unique, and that's fine. Um, but like go, I mean, continue on your golden age, right? Or maybe just call it golden year. Although in theory, these games should last and span for a few years, right? At minimum here. Um, yeah, like I'm gonna stand by kind of my statement. What I said is it a golden age for them to be released and actually in dare we say unison? Yes, but will they all be successful to kind of really make it a golden age? I think that remains to be seen. Right now, the track record and everything's being shown is looking very positive, right? But I think that's a lot of that's due to hype as well. Although, like Street Fighter, people actually have their physical hands on it, so that one kind of gives it a little bit more credence. But will they stand the test of time, right? That's an answer we can't give right now. So it's hard to actually give it the golden age, which is why I say there should be a question mark at the end. It can be.
I'm gonna still say it's another golden age, but I think
No,
another reason why I'm gonna say this too is because
yeah.
I know the fighting game community, like the actual competitive side of it, isn't
Mm-hmm.
like the prime. Well, I guess technically it is a primary force. It's a lifeline to the whole series, but
Definitely is.
so far the predictions and the talk and the hype around it, this supposedly this is going to be the most watched Evo because of the lineup that's released. Like there hasn't been a lineup like this since Smash Bros. 4, MK9, Street Fighter 4, and Tekken 6 or maybe a 7. I think it was Tekken 6. Like that was like the last time they had like a truly just stacked lineup across the whole entire board, and that was like one of their high years. Is like 2013, and it seems like they're having another 2013 moment where they just have massive games, just bringing the whole roster together.
No, it's definitely stacked, and that's great to have so many different IPs. I mean, there's like I said, there's no doubt. Like as far as releases is concerned, like I know they try to have them close to each other, right? But within months like this, I feel like that's unprecedented. Unprecedented, sorry. Um, and it's cool. And they're not avoiding each other, which is actually another positive sign because they're like, oh yeah, no, we got you. Like it's fighting games, fighting against fighting games.
Well, at the same point, I don't think they're really fighting each other, even though they're fighting games. I think they also understand that their community is their community. No matter what other game comes out, they're not going to lose that person. But because there's also a lot of casual players that just like fighting games in general, they're just going to keep bouncing back and forth. And hopefully, with this content coming out, they'll just keep recycling them back into their ecosystem, going back from one game to another game to another game to keep them more interested in sticking with one of these titles.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's why they're looking, because like let's be honest, the fighting game community's been kind of like on the downside for a while. They've been slowly fading, and I think this is their whole genre re-energizing thing they need in order to get their numbers back up.
Blossom, yeah, no, for sure. I agree with you, and it is exciting. Like I said, it's not my favorite genre, right? It's not the one I excel at for sure. But I love me a good fighting game. The simplicity of going down and enjoying some fights that happen in a matter of 90 seconds to 2 minutes, you can't beat that.
Dude, I still remember watching Evo. It was like I think it might have been Street Fighter 4. But I think his name was Daigo, like where he was like on his last life, inches like from death, and he executed like a perfect 12 counter and then came back. Dude, it's just there's moments like that you can't get in another fighting game. It's kind of funny because like I grew up playing fighting games, but I was never good at them. I'm still
Mm-hmm.
not good at them.
Mm-hmm.
But seeing that this potential reemergence of another prime age, I'm like, maybe it's time for me to finally, you know, learn these things. Like obviously I played them and I liked them and enjoyed them, but like
Mm-hmm.
really understand the intricacies of the combat system.
Mm-hmm.
Because let's be honest,
So,
there's a lot of things to remember in the combat.
oh, just to perform combos is such a skill.
Well, remembering the
Like
combo inputs, remembering the timing, then you
the
also have to
timing.
learn players' tactics.
For me, it's always been a timing thing. Even at the younger age, right? Like I feel like the memorization now that might have waned for me nowadays, but back in the day, the memorization part wasn't the issue. It was really the execution and the timing that would trigger me. For whatever reason, I think I was better at it with Killer Instinct, and I go back to that one. But for the Street Fighters of the world, for the Mortal Kombats, and I'll go ahead and throw Tekken in there because yes, I have played Tekken's. Um, that was always a thing for me. The hurdle I couldn't really get over, so I could never perform the more cool combos. Um, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm I don't know how many. Well, obviously, I'm going to own Mortal Kombat. We've already gone through that. Street Fighter 6 is on the fence. Tekken 2, I'll probably throw on the fence. I don't know much about it. I haven't been sold, but I'm definitely looking forward to the fighting games that are coming out this year for sure. And I'll definitely pick up a second one, I think, along the way. Like yourself, I'll probably get more involved, try to play a little bit better. I obviously probably won't reach competitive level, but it's time. I think it's time to get back into fighting games.
It's funny because of this overwhelming excitement for these games. I actually went back and purchased some. Well, obviously, I told you about Soul Calibur for
Yes.
PS3, but I also bought Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom for PS4, and then also I bought Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. I also upgraded myself Well, I owned Injustice Ultimate Edition, the first one. It's on PS4. I owned Injustice 2 on PS4, but I just got the Legendary Edition. And then also, I have Guilty Gear Strive because of Xbox Game Pass. I have King of Fighters 15. I have another game, surprisingly, that's kind of good. It's called Pop Idol Fighters. It's basically a whole bunch of like Japanese female pop stars that are fighting each other. It's kind of funny. Supposedly, the Japanese people have a very weird term for certain fighting games. Like the unknown ones are considered like the peasant fighters, where they're like not known. There's not many people playing it, so they're called peasant games.
Mm.
So I've been playing some peasant fighters recently, and dude, they're just fun, man.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna go experiment with those type of games, but as far as like the big ones, yeah, I think I wanna. I think I wanna get involved in one or two this go around. It's been some time. It's been overdue, and it makes for some very good, quick, competitive play, right? I don't mean to segue away from fighting games, but I'm just gonna go very briefly. Like to sports games, I used to love sports games. I looked forward to online play, but online playing sucked. Um, it just, and actually this kind of does carry over to fighting games. Like there will be times I will be winning, they will disconnect, and they automatically put you against the hardest difficulty AI, and then I would get my ass kicked, and then I would be upset, and then I get a loss on my record. Why? It makes no fucking sense. However, I think those things have been fixed. If hopefully, otherwise I'm gonna fucking get very pissed off again.
So on the fighting games, the mainstream ones, they've definitely fixed their internet problems because they have robust net coding.
So I'm looking forward to that. I really am, because that used to, like I said, I'm not saying that like I was a fucking god and playing fighting games, because I wasn't, but that would happen to me quite
Smash
frequently.
Bros.
Well, exactly, perfect example. But yes, that would irk the hell out of me. So yes, I'm glad that's fixed. That's a very good thing, and that may drive me.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, and Tekken, you definitely get that. Not every fighting game has it though. But it's kind of funny that you mentioned sports games because I remember playing Madden 2009.
Madden, yes.
And back then, dude, if you had the worst internet, you were better because I had AT&T as like 300 kilobytes, which is really bad. I remember versing someone online where I was playing. I'm from Chicago, but I was playing with Green Bay Packers. I threw a long pass, and I caught it. And the guy should have tackled me, but because I was lagging so bad, he literally went through my body, and I got to score a touchdown. And then obviously playing with Randy Moss, you pretty much had sticky hands all the way through, so you're golden.
That's funny. Yeah, so I'm glad that's all fixed. And that's good news for me to get back into it. To be quite honest.
Well, not only that, but go ahead.
Oh, go. No, I'm done. I'm done. Go ahead.
I was gonna say another benefit. I feel bad for the Xbox players here because you can be left out, but for PlayStation, because they're heavily promoting tournaments now, especially because Evo is being so massive and they own Evo. They have a huge list of what they call weekend tournaments, where Mortal Kombat's are having more like tournaments being hosted by PlayStation, Street Fighter's having more tournaments hosted by PlayStation, Tekken's having more stuff, a whole bunch of fighting games, and you don't have to have any requirement. It's just you sign up. If you win, you go forward, and if you keep winning for like a 3-week period, you actually get some money, and it's all free entry because it's supposed to be that introduction to competitive to get you onto like a main stage to give people a spotlight they generally wouldn't have gotten, and it's all hosted, sponsored by PlayStation. They even stream it to highlight fighters.
I think that is just beyond fantastic, and that's not really an incentive to me, but I know that's an incentive to a huge amount of people in this world. That is fucking fantastic. Going back to, because we both are streamers, I think this is just another another thing I could stream since I'm getting these IPs on PS5. It could be just another thing for me to stream, just me getting my ass kicked.
Well, it's funny because I was thinking about like creating like a weird series because obviously there's so many games I want to play. I'm not just gonna stay with fighter games. But I was thinking about like creating like a Fight Night Friday where it's like for a certain period, like maybe for an hour or two, whatever. I play fighting games, like a certain fighting game every week, and then I have people join in and they fight me,
Hmm.
And I don't care what their skill level is. If I lose, I lose. But if I beat them, it makes me feel good about myself.
Hmm.
And just have people like, all different variations of fighters come together and then teach me how to get better. Because
Yeah.
if you're good, you still learn. If they're bad, you still learn because you learn how to do certain things.
Yeah, no, for sure. Fight like it's. I'm glad you brought that up because that much like how we talk about when we talk about like doing real life sports, like that is the only way you get better at these games. You have to play people better that are better than you. You have to take your losses. You have to learn from your losses. It's the only way.
Yeah, and then to give yourself a little breather, you sprinkle in a bad player there so you can get yourself hyped up again, so you can go
Yeah,
back to getting lost.
boost your confidence. Exactly, exactly. So in other words, I'll be DMing you. Hey, Josh, jump on. I need a free win. No, it's
Well,
fine.
we'll see who
No,
takes it
yeah,
more
yeah, yeah.
serious.
Well, we're both getting MK, so it looks like maybe those that Fight Night Friday thing you're talking about will come to fruition. So
Yeah, but yeah, I'm just looking forward to. Like I said, I'm not gonna go super hardcore competitive. I'm not trying to go pro or whatever. That's
yeah,
not for me.
yeah,
But I do want to get good enough where I can at least play an
have
online
fun.
match and not get completely fucked.
I'm with you. That's my goal too.
But
But even if I do get wrecked, I guess that still makes from some good content clips.
yeah, well, getting wrecked to a certain point is good content. Then after that, it's just
If
give
you're
up the
constantly
game.
getting wrecked, yeah, yeah, no, that part is true,
It's
no
like,
doubt in
poor
my
guy, you have
which is
172 losses and 0 wins. Get off the game.
which is why I'm heavily looking forward to story mode.
That's why we have bots.
Uh,
I
but
mean, who knows? The AI is getting better, so maybe we might not even be able to beat the bots.
right, right,
But yeah, it's just it's looking good all around. New players, old players are all looking good. Like I said, this I I I know I bash PlayStation quite a bit for a lot of things, but them promoting these fighting games and giving a lot of these players that don't have a, how do I say it, like a platform truly, and giving them a place to shine, I think it's one of the best things they've ever done, and I hope they continue that because honestly, it's the only reason why these things are even thriving anymore.
I agree. Couldn't say it any better.
But are you ready to move on to topic number 3? Mask on or mask off?
Mask on. Oh God, yes, let's do it. All right, you want to introduce it, or do you want me to introduce it?
So this one is, so we're gonna start off with spoiler free. We may eventually delve in later on to theories on how Azel's gonna be, but we're gonna give our first impressions and how we like the game so far, just gameplay aspects for Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
Yes, precisely. We're gonna pretty much at all regards make this a story spoiler free quote unquote review. Neither one of us have really beat it to the extent of reaching the credits, so we've gone sort of down different paths, so we're just going to avoid that at all. um God, I cannot say enough good things about this game, and I'm not even done with it. I'm totally in love with it. um, the Let me just start with the beginning. God damn. You throw it in, and I just immediately thought like cinema, like movie, like it just started in theory right where you left off for Breath of the Wild. Didn't waste no time, and yeah, just kind of still stay in spoiler free, even though that's the beginning of the game. Um, it just it just sets you off, right? Sets you off on your journey, and the one big thing I want to touch up that I love about so much about this game is the attention of detail, or attention to detail. Let's take the beginning sequence for example. Like, it's the little things that I go like when I'm playing, because like you go through the first part, you finally get your Sheikah slate back, or whatever it's called. My
Well,
apologies.
it's actually not the Sheikah Slate. It's called the Pure Pad. The Sheikah
Pure
Slate's
pad,
gone.
yes. Yeah, yeah. It's Gen 2 of the Sheikah slate. Yeah, no, you're right. It's called the Pure Pad. Thank you. Um, I don't know if you did this or you recognize this, but you go into it and you go to your pictures, and what pictures were in there? The ones that Zelda took at the beginning of the sequence, and I just love little things like that Nintendo has done. And there's I can't account for everything, but the ones that I come across, I almost shed a tear. It's like, oh my god, like I can't believe they did that or they kept that in, or what have you. It's the little things that I hope people are take noticing and just smiling about, because I have been. So with that said, um, the other thing is, if you're somebody that has a sense of adventure and exploration and discovery, this game is like the perfect thing for you. And it, like, I always had that in me. I mean, MMOs, for example, like World of Warcraft, when Classic came out, that was like one of the things I adored, was was going out, exploring the world, getting lost, going into territory that you could pretty much die in with a hit or two. I kind of stumbled upon doing the same thing in Zelda, where I spent like a legit 24-hour plus period staying in the depths, going to the underground pretty much world, which, by the way, I had no idea was going to be like a one by one mirror. And I wish it's not a one by one mirror, but the same landmass as the actual landmass of the original Breath of the Wild world. Like, I thought it was going to be somewhat less than that. Like, I thought they were going to give it like the Sky Island treatment, where it's like, okay, you go down and you're going to have this little section, and then you're going to have to go back up, go down somewhere else, and you have a little section. No, maybe this is a spoiler, but it's not story spoiler. But no, it's all connected. And I'm like, holy shit, this is fucking massive. Breath of the Wild original map I thought was massive, but now this takes it by like 2.5. Um, and to the degree where you go down there and it's pitch black. The only way you could actually have light is using those seeds and either dropping them and hitting them, or using a bow and arrow to, like, I know there's little other methods to do it, but like that's the main method. And I don't know, I just adored it so much and I loved it so much, and I'm still not even done exploring everything. Um, there's all that. Like I said, not going to go into story. Um, the gameplay, the customization. Um, I haven't made created anything of something to brag about, but I loved going on social media and seeing all the different shit that have been made. Like, it's been mind blowing, the different shit that I've seen, like the different types of mechs. As people are dubbing them mechs. The poor Koroks are getting I don't know if
They're
we should be.
crucified.
I was just about to say, I'm like, I don't know if I should say it on stream, but poor Koroks are getting crucified
They're playing
online.
the Amino song in the back. They're burning Korax at the stake. They're crucifying them,
Did
launching them
you
into the
see? Did you
oblivion.
see the Korok rotisserie?
Yeah, there's like 3 or 4 Koroks on a fire, and he's just spinning the thing around.
I mean, Nintendo knew, they had to have known they're not that pure in the minds. I'm sorry, nobody is. Human race is not. So they had to see this coming, but nonetheless, they still left it with total freedom. At least from my experience, right? Like, it's been awesome. Oh God, I'm gonna let you take over, like, give your 2 cents, but it's been fantastic.
So, first of all, I want to say that after playing Tears of the Kingdom, I played Breath of the Wild, and I thought that was probably the ideal version of what an optimized game could be for Switch with its limited performance. Tears of the Kingdom, they found the better tricks and solutions to make the most stable it is. It's rocking a solid 720. I would say 30 FPS. It's consistent. I've noticed very little jitters, except for when you have a whole bunch of mechs going around blasting lasers. Um, I'm not gonna say it's a 10 out of 10 though, because I was a little disappointed in the beginning because the shrines are exactly how they are in Breath of the Wild, and to be honest, I feel like I wish that they had certain portions of the game where you couldn't build, because I feel like it almost hurts you. Because like there's a lot of shrines where I did it the original way. Like there was one shrine where you had to basically put a stick and a thing and basically turn into a pinball machine. I did it the right way. But I went
Well,
back in there again, and what you could do if you don't want to do the pinball machine, which is really easy, is you could just build a really long stick and tap the ball into the hole. I'm like, that
I
kind of
don't know if
takes
I.
away the creative process.
I'm not. Excuse me. I don't consider that a spoiler. I don't think I've done that one yet. But to your point with the shrines, um, I get what you're saying. It does take away, but once again, I feel like um, Nintendo knows, and they also don't care, and I say that in a good way because the part of solutions is it
If you
doesn't
can
have
think it,
to.
you can create it.
Yeah, right. So
But
like,
then
so to
there's
your,
exploits because there's an actual
but is go ahead. Sorry, finish.
so this is a glitch. If you have a spear and you throw it and you use recall and you put a just a normal flat 2x4 on it, you can use that as basically catapult. And if there's certain places that have a huge gap, all you have to do is just do it at the right time. You can fling yourself to the end. You don't have to do any of the
No, I
puzzles.
know
You
that. I
just
don't
fling
think that's
yourself.
an exploit though. That's dare I say creative use of game mechanics because you are given those abilities to use them that way. It's almost like they're like. What did I read a comment? The comment was like, it's like they gave Link the Infinity Gauntlet and say, go ahead and be God. Go be God.
Well, so this one, I'm the reason why I'm saying it's an exploit is because obviously there's certain shrines that do utilize leverage and weight, and you
Hmm.
can see out where it's supposed to launch you. But if you do it in this specific manner, it
Okay.
launches you like a tower. You know, like one of those towers that like the pre-made shaken
Oh,
towers.
okay,
Like it launches
okay.
you at that speed and that height.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, see now something like that though, they might actually hotfix, right? Because speaking of exploits, because there there actually is one too for item duping
Duplication.
already.
I've been doing it.
Yeah. See, I haven't, but I'm not gonna yell at you.
I've only done it for
So
the rupees because I found a diamond. I just duplicated the diamonds to get 500 rupees every time.
not gonna yell at you. What I'm getting at is it can be hotfixed, right? So even those very few and small bugs slash exploits, right? They can be fixed. But to your point with the shrines, right? Like they're keep dubbing the creative use of game mechanics, or maybe I have the unfortunate thing of overthinking. But like there was the one where like you had to. I think the shrine was like you had to use the what would it be called? Something to slap the ball, but you had to time it so it actually goes into the drop hole to unlock the door, right? Or no, I'm sorry. You had to hit the ball so it flies to hit the bullseye, right?
Yeah, there's a little ramp, and it's a thing that
Yeah.
that's a pinball one
No, that's not a pinball
where you
one.
put the spike in the thing while and
No, no, no,
if
no,
you
no,
smack
no,
it,
no,
it
no.
turns.
It's like a spatula. You have to raise it, but you have to raise a certain level to hit the ball a certain speed to hit the bullseye. And there's like two rooms of it.
Oh, we have to make like a makeshift ramp, and there's like
You
little.
don't have to make a ramp. There is a ramp there. The ball's on the ramp. You just have to move a fucking like spatula. You let it go and it hits the ball and it goes. But you just have to time. You have to know how high to just. It's a really easy one, is
I
what I'm
probably
getting
haven't
at.
done that one, but there's like
And
7 shrines that are very similar to
no,
that.
no, I'm sure there are. But anyways, like to your point, right? It's also very easy to do the right way, right? But um, they also give you a rocket in there to use for for other uses. And I watched a video where to solve it, all the guy did was or girl was attached use the whatever the binding um, fucking mechanic is. They attached the rocket to their weapon and just threw the weapon because it then initiates the rocket and it went straight for the bullseye. So I'm like, what the fuck? Like, that's how easy they did it. And it's like, okay, so you can't be mad because that's the game mechanics, right? Like, that's not an exploit. That's not a bug. It's working as intended. But that was the solution, right?
And I
So,
should say that this is definitely a personal thing because I know I've said this before and I've defended it that a good game lets you play the way you want to play, and
mhm.
that's exactly what Tears of the Kingdom does.
But now you're,
I just feel like they have really good puzzle shrines. It's
yes.
just because of creating stuff, you can make it too easy, and and because you're thinking it, even if you don't intentionally do it, you might solve it the wrong way,
Yeah.
and it kind of takes the fun away from it.
I, I disagree with you and agree with you to an extent. because I understand what you're saying. Like there should be a purityness to solving the puzzle. I'm with you. However, there has been a couple shrines where like I've solved and I felt like I was on the right path to solve it, but I know I botched it a little bit, but I still solved it. So I was like, yes, I got to the end. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I know I didn't have the exact solution, but I still solved it. Does that make sense? So I still felt like I won in a pure sense without exploiting, but I was glad that due to my non-perfective ways of creating things, I still was able to solve it.
Actually, maybe I should backtrack a little bit because you probably play it. It's one of the few shrines when you go down from Lookout Village. There's
Hmm.
some that teach you about combat where you can only use the bows or the spears or the swords that are
Yes.
in that dungeon.
Okay.
I feel like that idea should have been the same implemented when it comes
Use
to
more often.
objects.
Gotcha.
Because, so as I was saying, because I have a lot of Zonite charges, and in certain places you can dispense it, get a lot of Zonite things. But those Zonite capsules that you have, you can still use in the shrines.
I don't think that's 100% true. I think there's some shrines, if you go to your items, it doesn't allow you to select them.
Maybe there's some of them, but there's a good majority where you can.
Okay.
And and of course, this is probably a my issue thing because I did use it because I had a flame emitter, I had a jetpack, I also had one of those the turbine fan things.
Hmm.
There's
It
been
was
maybe
too easy
one
for you.
puzzle that maybe stumped me for like 2 minutes, and I got past it.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I'm with you, but ultimately, it's how you still solve the puzzle. Like it really is kind of one of those ethical things, right? And being a purist is like, oh, but you didn't do it the right way. Well, I still solved it.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's I get you. And it's something that's being talked about on social media, right? You got the people that are like, absolutely not, you're a fucking idiot because you didn't do it the right. Well, are they though?
The
Like
solution doesn't matter the way you came about
exactly,
it. Yeah.
exactly. Like, but I think the reason why it's such a high argument in social media because it's a principle thing, right? Like that's kind of what we're talking about. We're
I don't
talking
know if
about
it's a
principle.
principle. I think it's a personal preference.
The reason why I'm saying principle because I think people are immediately applying it to like real life situations, right? Just real life things like oh well you can't do it that like but that's not the point. We're talking about a video game here, right? It's like um yeah, that's my take on it. I'm with you, but at the same time it's like you know if you still solve it, you still solve it. And to your point, there are those if you want to jump them hard where they put you in naked and you're like, no, you got to do this with what we give you. Um, and to your point, maybe there should have been more of them.
So another gripe I have, and this is 100% a me issue because I
Hmm.
decided to look around where I shouldn't have.
Okay.
So this is very early on to the game. After you get past the Sky Island,
Mhm.
you go to the Lookout Temple, whatever the first
Lookout
village you
landing.
come out. Yeah,
Yep.
Lookout Landing, and literally next to Lookout Landing is Hyrule Castle.
Hmm.
Stupid me, I looked at Hyrule Castle. Obviously, there's certain places that are going to be difficult because that's kind of considered like the end game area, but you can still bypass it by doing certain creative things. I explored all of Hyrule Castle, and I accidentally got a lot of the most powerful weapons in the game.
Nice. But
It,
once again, see that's one of the things. I mean, just even going back to the first game, right? Like people were able to speed run and just drop right off the plateau and go straight to Ganon and whoop his ass. So like, I mean, dare I say you're wrong for doing that? I mean, I'm sure a lot of people that I didn't do it. I'm
so
I'm not saying I
I
should have, but like, I think let me say this. I would say you had bigger balls to go and do that with 3 hearts or 4 hearts at that time, because in theory you're gonna get like one shot by damn near everything in there, right?
so this is where I feel like difficulty comes into non-balance is that if you're at a good distance away and because of creative building and certain things, there most of the enemies are not good at aiming from long distance.
That's
And
very true.
and because of that, you can
I,
bypass a lot of things. Like
I,
Gloom,
I,
for example, if you go high enough and wait them out, they just disappear.
I'll agree with you for that as a gripe, although I'm not making it like a hard gripe. Is I will co-sign that I feel like the enemies thus far that I've encountered although I have not fought a Gliok yet, um, have been easier. And I kind of do miss the Ancient Guardians because I felt like the Ancient Guardians were bitches.
Yes, they were
So
tough,
I will,
dude.
yes, I will co-sign that what you just said.
So because like, and
But I'm
once
not
again,
making that.
this. I'm sorry. You
No, go
could
ahead.
continue, and then I'll say it.
No, I was just gonna say like that kind of is more of a like you said personal gripe. But I'm co-signing your gripe, but it's not like really like oh I'm gonna dock points off the game because I still feel like this game really is more about exploring.
Oh, that's 100% thing because combat
Yeah.
wise, everything is so unbalanced. Because like, for example, if you really want to be a scared little cat, just get a flame emitter, use up hand
Then
on
his
it,
shield.
and
Yeah.
well, not even a shield, just use up hand,
Oh.
put it away from a distance. You can walk back and just
Oh
flame
yeah, yeah.
everybody.
You're right. You're right. Yep. Yep. Yep.
And not only that, so Lionels for me were the biggest struggle in Breath of the Wild. I sucked at killing Lionels.
Hmm.
If you hit Lionels in this game because slow motion is so much easier, all you have to do is just quick dodge, headshot, climb on their back. Because I went to Hyrule Castle, I already have a 113 sword or whatever, and because when you get on their back, it doesn't do any weapon damage to it. So I just bop bop bop, jump off, dodge, shoot to the face, on his back, bop bop bop. He's done a couple of strikes. I'm
Hmm.
like, these guys have gotten nerfed so badly. I'm like, there's like
So,
no challenge at all to them, and that applies to every single enemy.
so I wouldn't go as far as I nerf, and me and my other friend had kind of had that Lionel conversation too. I think the other benefit you have is you you know their pattern complements the Breath of the Wild, right? So you know already how to defeat them.
But they didn't get staggered as quickly as they do in Breath of the Wild. Like you had to take a couple
I
hits.
so I'll go ahead and say I haven't fought one yet because the one when I did come across from like like I said I had this conversation. I'm like, yes, I know how to fight you. I know how to kill you. I know your pattern yet, but I'm like, I can't be fucked with you right now. I'm gonna keep going exploring. So I haven't fought one yet for that reason. And like I've been really avoiding a lot of the bigger enemies. Like I've killed some Hinoxes. I've avoided Gleox. Uh, I don't know if you've encountered. I forgot what they're called, but they're only in the depths. They look like I don't know what kind of monster it is. They look like a big ass like muck with one big eye. I don't know what they are. I forgot what they're
Wait,
called.
does it look like hands?
No, those things are fucking. I don't know how you kill those. Or you just
Well,
shoot the eyes?
it's later on in the game. Unfortunately, if
Oh,
you have certain food, you can also get gloom resistance. But it's pretty much just hit the eyes, have certain gloom weapons, and then
so
they're
they
gone.
can't choke you. Okay.
Yeah.
Um. So with that said, no, it's not those. It's like they're huge. They're like massive. They suck you, or he only really has two moves. He either jumps and pounds on you, or he tries to suck you in. So the way you kill him is you shoot a bomb, he explodes, and you hit him. You kind of kill him like you would with one of those rock monsters. I think they start with a T. I forgot what they're called.
Oh, the Sentinel, or no, sorry, not the. I know they have like a little crystal on top of their head, and they
Yes,
just
yes,
throw their
yes,
arms
yes,
at you.
yes. Yep, yep. So the monster is kind of like that, but he has like 6 or 8 different crystals on him, so you have to break them all. They're only in the depths. At least I
Yeah,
think they're only in the
I
depths.
will say out of all the enemies I encountered, those are the two hardest ones because you have to hit their crit, and they
Yeah.
don't get staggered. Well, I guess technically they fall over, but like you're getting free swaps and then they push you off.
Or
Unlike
I like the construct baddies too, where you have to
those are
find the
fun.
block, pull it out, and then those are fun. It's almost like a puzzle fight in a sense. And I've only beaten, I think, only level ones. I don't know if I even beat a level 2 yet. And I've encountered level 3s, and I was like, no, now's not the time.
Those are the only three that I found semi challenging. But I will say this: if you can fight a Lionel, you can fight a Gleeok.
Okay.
Like they're legit like the same creature, same crits, same patterns, everything. And it's like a Gleeok is supposed to be like this Hydra, King Ghidorah type creature, and I'm like, oh, you're just a big Lionel, and I'm like, you're disappointing.
Mm. Well, I haven't fought one yet. I will say they look fucking badass though.
And there's different types of them too. Like there's just a
Yes.
classic fire flame one, and there's one with like three different elements.
Yep. Yep. There's a ice one and a uh, thunder one, like you said. Like, that would probably be the one closest to King Ghidorah. But But yeah, no, I'll co-sign that with you. Like, yeah, the enemies definitely have been a lot more lackluster. Talos, I think, or Talos, that's the rock guy.
Yeah.
Um, but um, but with that said, I'm giving it a 10. I'm sorry. Now, if it was 100 points, I would have to do some. It probably won't be a perfect 100, of course, but like it's definitely going to be in the 90s for
I,
sure.
I'm gonna say
Um,
93, but that's only because I played other games that are very similar. Like I know people like to say Minecraft is a kids game. Minecraft, it was the first to do it. They're still enhancing it. It's still more massive. Like like don't get me wrong. Just because I'm saying it's not a perfect 10 doesn't mean Tears of the Kingdom is not bad. It's great. It's fun. It's what it needs to be. And in my opinion, it's probably one of the better Switch games out there. And because of how optimized Tears of the Kingdom is, it makes me so disappointed in how Scarlet and Violet run.
dude, no shit. Like when I was playing it, and to your point, like the optimization, the lack of stuttering and stuff like that, like not to mention the field of depth that you get, which is even better than Breath of the Wild.
Well, they have a trick. So when you're using the Pure Pad to zoom out, what they do is they slow processing for everything else. So like when when you're in the air and you have a bow and it slows down,
Yeah.
that's the same thing that's happening when you're using the Pure Pad. It slows down processing for everything else, so you can get a further render distance. So it's cool little engineering tricks they do to make it look like it's bigger than it really is because they're reducing performance almost instantaneously to make you see further. And I think that's clever development right there. I think it's so smart. I think they nailed down all the tricks for a Switch.
Yeah, no. So to those points, and once again, cosign your dismay for Pokemon. I was thinking the same thing. Like, oh, fuck, man. Like, how did Game Freak botch that so bad? Like, it really makes you now think or see that it really wasn't a Switch problem. Because I know you give Switch a lot of shit, but it really wasn't a
Well, I
Switch
still
problem.
give
It was,
Switch a lot of stuff because unfortunately, Tears of the Kingdom has also been hacked, and you can play the ROM version on PC in full 4K, 120 FPS or 60 FPS. Dude,
I've,
unfortunately, if you put eyes on that version versus the Switch version, you're like, oh my god, I'm
I've
missing so
already
much.
I've already seen it, but like it's not hindering my enjoyment.
Well, there's a difference between seeing and playing it. If you once you play it for a couple hours and you go back, you're like, what am I looking at? Like your eyes have to adjust, like you've just been
Oh, it's
dilated.
probably like me wearing my glasses. No, I get you, and that's how I always actually compared wearing my glasses. Like, oh, it's like I see it in 4K. Um, but um, but
But
yeah, I
I'm not gonna
mean,
take away. It's the best Switch game, and like I said, it deserves credit because it's utilizing an outdated system to its full potential.
and I think that's what's making it probably doesn't. It shouldn't be the reason why it's getting additional high remarks, but it's definitely assisting.
I mean, you see on Twitter that people are like, "Oh
Yeah,
man, they're really pulling out all this power for
yeah,
this," and that's
yeah,
surprising.
yeah. No, exactly. But to that same point, it's making fun of like the Pokemon game, right? It's like how like it really is amazing what now you see why they charge $70 and you see why they retain um their employees and not doctor pay. Like this is what you get out of that, right? And I think that's another thing that was coming out in social media was like the industry take note, like in a way saying step up your game to your point, but you're using like outdated system all shit. But that's what they were kind of saying, or I was reading at least, like start taking notes to what Nintendo's doing in this with this IP at least.
So one thing I'm gonna say, and to me this is a higher mark, even though I'm not giving it a 10, it's like maybe 93. I don't say this for all games, but Tears of the Kingdom is definitely worth the $70.
Yeah. No, it's funny that that has not really been coming out in social media because like before people were be like, what, $70? How are you charging? And Nintendo was even like,
Well,
wait,
when it's warranted,
yeah,
it's good. But there's games that do charge $70 that are like, oh, that could be a $20 game easy.
yeah. Well, I'm probably gonna shoot myself in the foot by saying this, but I don't
Redfall.
know, huh?
Redfall.
Well, see, that was kind of statement I was gonna make. Like, I don't know what was, or if there even was another game that I paid that value for.
Call of Duty.
Well, once again, I haven't played Call of Duty. That's what I'm saying. I'm talking about me here.
I
Like,
know,
I
but
don't
I
think
can
I've
think of
played.
like 12 games off the
No,
top of
no,
my head that are
that,
like overpriced
and
for no
that's
reason.
fine. And I'm glad you're bringing them up. But to my point, I guess it's like, everyone's going to be upset for paying more upfront when you don't know what the final product, especially when it came to this one, because we saw what happened with Pokemon, and we're like, fuck, is Zelda going to follow suit, right? So there's a lot of skepticism with this.
It's kind of funny. I never had that fear with Tears of the Kingdom. I was just hoping that
Oh,
they
you
would
didn't?
match the same quality that Breath of the Wild had, and
I,
they did better than that.
there definitely was fear because of people already knew that this was going to be a larger scale game, right? With the sky part and everything. So there was some fear with that. But with that said, when you're forking that money up front, even though, dare I coin it this way, it was only additional $10, but like, yes, I have no remorse or anything towards that. Like, it was worth every penny, and justified, I guess, if you want to call it that way. And they put their, dare I say it this way, they put their money where their mouth is. They're like, hey, you're gonna enjoy paying this.
Well,
And
let's just defend once.
there
Let's
has,
just defend the Zelda studio, not all Nintendo studios.
no, you're right, you're right. However, would would you have paid 70 for Odyssey? Or would you? Or let me rephrase that question. Would you have been upset to pay $70 for Odyssey? Well, would that have been a justifiable game?
Odyssey, no, but the other two Mario games, 3D World and all that, or not the All
Oh,
Star 3D, but the
Mario
Bowser.
Maker.
No, Mario Maker, that was good.
Bowser's Fury. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and
No,
then
I'm with you.
the other one I bought, Mario Bros. U Deluxe, whatever.
Yeah.
Those are $20 games.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. I said Odyssey. So okay. So once again, like,
Honestly,
yeah,
I will say $70, but that's because they had the Zelda treatment. They really put a lot of time and effort into developing it. But
correct.
not
Correct.
all the Mario games are that
No,
quality.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I'm just saying. I'm just kind of using it as a measuring stick, right? Um. So yeah. Outside the money talk. This weekend, my goal is to finish story, because surprisingly, social media has not spoiled anything for me, and I've been on social media. Everything has been catering towards creativity, which has been.
That's because I hacked your social media and I put Zelda mute.
Thank you,
You
appreciate that.
do know you can do that, right? There's certain words you can actually block
Yeah,
out.
no, yeah,
Right.
no. Yeah, no, I know you could do that, but I haven't done any of that. I've been I've kind of encountered one. I wouldn't even say it's partial spoiler. It's more of a theory, I guess. So I'm not really upset about that. But my goal is to finish the story this weekend and stop exploring, because that's really what I've been doing ever since the game has come out. I think let's talk about stats really quick. I believe I'm around like 55 shrines with the same amount of depths. I don't know if you would call them shrines, but seeds. They look like seeds to me, big seeds. I've have like almost an equal amount of those
Wait, what are you saying?
found.
C is like Korok seeds?
No. Like, how much time have you spent in the depths, by the way?
Um, 2 3 hours. Are you talking about the the flame tiers?
Yeah, you know how like you
Like
use your thing
spirits?
to, how you unlock the teleports in the depths,
Yeah.
and it actually illuminates the area. Yeah, those things is what I'm talking about. Like, I've
Oh,
found like,
the seeds to illuminate. Oh, those are the light blooms.
yeah, the light blooms. Thank you, those things.
Oh, I have. I think I have over like 700 of them.
No. You still know what I'm talking about. Not the item. When you go into depths, right? And you use your hand to illuminate the area, and then it turns into a teleportation point. Those things.
I probably have a couple. I don't know.
Okay. Well,
There's like
anyways,
four
I got.
items that look like a light thing that I'm thinking about, and one has 700, which is the light blooms.
No, you're
The
talking
other
about
one
the.
is like the flame spirits that you pick up on the ground. I have like 37 of those. And then yeah.
No. These are. I'm calling them the shrines of the depths, but they're not shrines. But you could teleport to them when you're in the depths, right? So I have about over 50 of those found. So I have like equal amount of those and shrines. Korok seeds. Fuck, I forgot how many Korok seeds I have. I don't know how many hearts I have. I want to say I have like 9 or 10 hearts. I have one whole stamina, extra stamina filled with a partial third. I have almost 4 complete battery cells filled, and 1 temple done.
So if you're considering the phenomenon temple, I only have 1 temple done.
Yes.
I have 50 something shrines done because I have almost the max stamina because I put very little into
Okay.
hearts because
Okay.
all you need is 5 hearts. That's all you need. And then if you go to stables and you use the it's something like MAYA, something called like a bed, a lion bed. It's the horse cow
Oh
bed.
yeah, yeah.
If you sleep in there, they give you 3 bonus hearts.
Oh, 3 bonus cells. I haven't done it yet because I'm like stingy with my money, but I know you did the duping, so you don't care. But
It's only 20 rupees
I
or 50 rupees for that bed.
yeah, 50. That's a lot of rupees. I wasn't too sure what it did because I thought maybe it just doubled your hearts, right? Like it made every heart like 2. But you're saying it just gives you +3? That kind of sucks.
Yeah, +3 um to your base heart. So like let's say if you have 5, it's just
Yeah.
3 extra or
No, you got 8.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of shitty.
Um but they're there until you take a hit. And then once you lose them, then it goes back to normal, but you can get it
Ah,
back if you sleep in the bed.
that's another thing I liked about. Thanks for bringing that up. That's another thing I liked about the depths too. Like when you take a hit, you can't replenish those hearts back until you find one of those big blooms that I'm talking about, and then you're able to finally fully restore your health if you like to. So, like, I like the depths because I felt like it was a more challenging part
Well,
of Zelda.
one thing I like about the depths. So one thing I will give Tears of the Kingdom credit for that I feel like no one's mentioning is the attention to detail. So in the
Yeah.
depths, there's like these little frog creatures that lurk in the darkness. And if you have these things that you can put on your bow to like create like light, the frogs eat those things. And then if you kill the frogs, one of the items they drop is those light things because that's a part of their diet.
Isn't it amazing? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, like, to your point, I think there's, dare I say, a lack of appreciation to those things.
but
Like even just I know this happened in Breath of the Wild, but I'm glad it still happens. But like even when it starts raining and you've seen townfolk run for cover because they don't want to get rain on them, like it's like
oh dude,
the,
I hate the rain so much.
the simplest things I just fucking adore. Or even like I don't know if this happened to you yet. If you walk into someone's house and depending on the time of day they come home and they catch you inside, like what the fuck you doing in my home? Like it's just I just love things like that. It's so
I want
simple.
to say I hate the female characters in Zelda, especially if they're a merchant, because when you go there, they moan. They're like, "Oh, ooh," and I'm like, I have to turn the volume down on this thing. And I'm like, all I'm
Well,
doing is buying like 7 apples.
what about the great fairies? Have you unlocked any great
Oh,
fairies?
dude,
Now,
their
now,
dialogue needs to be like muted or something. Oh, yeah.
good thing the Garuda women don't moan because their figures are another story.
Well, I think I found my soulmate. There's a Gerudo girl that go like if you travel enough throughout the world, there's like these cherry trees, and the same Gerudo girl's on this cherry tree, and you keep finding her, and you progress your dialogue with her, and she's like, "I'm looking for my soulmate," but she's
Mm,
like, "I don't think that's you." And then you go to the second one, she's like, "Oh, we meet again. It's a kind of weird traveler. Nice seeing you." And then you go to another one, and it keeps getting more deeper and deeper, and I'm like,
mm.
Link's gonna
I
repopulate.
I haven't triggered that yet, but it's very funny because Link gets hit on everywhere,
Mm.
even by the dudes. Like he's constantly getting fucking hit on. It's hilarious. It's so
Speaking of
great.
which, I'm not sure if you knew this. So the NPCs around the world are actually Mii's. So there's a Mii generator that Nintendo uses that just they take the face, whatever, and then they just port it over to Zelda with their looks, and that's why you have all these different weird looking faces because they're just randomly generated Mii's.
First off, I guess I didn't know that, but B, they can't be random generated because they're the same for everybody else's game.
Well,
So how is that? That's not the
When they,
definition of randomly generated then.
no, no, no. When they put those NPCs in the game, they used a me generator to make
Oh,
the
okay. I'm
model for
following
those
you. I'm
characters.
okay. I'm following you now. Gotcha. Okay, understood.
Obviously, there's certain characters that you'll see over and over again, like the guy
Yeah,
holding the president
yeah,
sign or the guy in the
yeah,
stable selling stuff.
yeah,
Those are just universal around the board. But the
yeah.
random ones, those are just me generated.
That- Hey, cool.
I just thought it was cool that they used a obscure concept for the Wii that a lot of people didn't utilize, and they
Yeah,
somehow turned it into a thing you can create characters with for Zelda.
yeah, yeah. No, it's definitely cool. But no, I actually didn't know that complete factoid. Um, Man, yeah, like I said, man, I can't say enough good things. I even thought initially, I guess, until you actually learn, get really acquainted with the game mechanics. But I thought the beginning area was harder than Breath of the Wild's because like it took me 4 to 5 hours just to get out of it. Versus I know it didn't take me that long to get out the Great Plateau.
So maybe it's because you didn't play Zelda recently, but because I
Yeah,
had the convenience of playing all three back to back,
yeah,
I was able to blow through that beginning island within like an hour. But
gotcha.
that's only because I knew I had to eat the spicy peppers to go into the ice area.
Well, I
Because
mean,
of the abilities he
things,
had, it
well,
just
things like that, like that type of information, I still knew and carried over. But I guess for me, first off, and maybe you could co-sign this, but I felt like the area itself was larger, and then B, like I said, I just immediately, I guess my exploration uh sensors kicked in like immediately, and I guess I was more lax in my progression as
maybe that's the
well.
difference is because I actually did try to explore, but I
Hmm.
have this really bad habit where when I try to explore, I accidentally go the right way. So I when I was trying to explore, I ended up progressing to each of the shrines, and I'm like, oh, that sucks, but I guess I'm gonna continue.
Yeah, interesting. Well, I mean, it's trying to stick out like a sore thumb first and
Well,
foremost. I
yeah,
mean,
the shrines, but
big,
when you're in the area like by the river, you think, oh, this is cool. Let's see what's here, and
yeah,
then you go past the river, go up the mountain a little bit. You're like, oh, it's
yeah,
another shrine.
hmm yeah. But so yeah. Anyway, yeah. I mean, I don't really know what else to bring up at this point, except I'm enjoying the hell out of it. I We could have game of the year discussions later because obviously we know there's still other ones out there, but
So,
um,
so I do have something I do want to bring up,
sure.
and I don't know if this is a lore explanation, but when did they change the name from Malice to Gloom?
Good question. I don't have an answer, and maybe that's because we haven't progressed far enough.
Because like everybody like
I
in the game it says, "Oh, that's Gloom, that's Gloom." I'm like,
I know.
where did Gloom come from? It was
Yeah,
always Malice.
yeah. No, I agree, and I'm with you, and that's always been a talking and theory point before this game even came out because based on the trailers, what we saw was what we thought, I guess, right, was malice that corroded the Master Sword. And actually, I'm gonna piggyback on that statement after this point, and and that's why I was like, well, fuck, Malice didn't do that in Breath of the Wild, so all of a sudden, why is it? So now it's being dubbed as Gloom, and Gloom does that, but they look very fucking identical, right? So it's like maybe we haven't reached that point and got to that explanation. I don't know, um, but it's a valid point. I don't have an answer for you.
So continuing Gloom, I think it's hilarious how in the beginning how Link lost his hearts and stamina is that he got corrupted to lose this thing, and you could just see the look on his face is like I did all that work and now to get it all back again. It's basically I got a debuff and I have to cure myself. He looks so disappointed. He's like,
So,
why,
so to your
why?
to your disappointing part, like people kind of bringing it up on social media, making fun of it a little bit because even I guess people were taking pictures and video footage of him even walking down where it even looked like he was disappointed to just even be there with Zelda going down. He's like, something bad's gonna happen down here, Zelda. I don't think we should be here.
But it was like to me, if you're gonna lose all your stats from the previous game, that's the best way to do it. And the fact that when you see his face, he looks so disappointed. It's like I worked so hard to get that, and I still have that power. I just have to cleanse myself.
Yeah, you just have to get it back. Yeah. No, but the other once again, paying attention to detail, that I adore so much. Like the gloom, I guess we'll call it, right. Corroded the magic sword, but then as you're obtaining weapons in the game, all the weapons are corroded. However, unless you go to the depths, I know there's still gloom in the depths, but the weapons that you get from there, or I don't know if this is a spoiler, or from amiibos, those weapons are not corroded. It's just those little things that like you said, the attention to detail that Nintendo has.
I do love how
Um,
there's certain animalistic creatures that have certain interactions that change certain things. Like I can't remember the location. It's like a forest location, but they kind of look like oxes or bulls or whatever.
okay,
And if you put down your luminous stone in
okay.
front of them, they will eat it. If you
Mm.
give them a little bit of time, because they eat stones, they will crap out rubies, gems, diamonds.
What? That is
Yes.
hilarious.
And
That's so funny.
I think it's so funny that all you have to do is just put the thing in front of them. They're like, hmm. They look around. They're like, nom 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 nom. Like 5 minutes later, they crap out diamonds or they crap out gems.
Rupees.
Yeah.
Now, do they crap out rupees or do they
No.
crap out like luminous stone or more
So
stones?
it's like rubies, opals,
Also a mix.
amber,
Oh, damn.
sapphire. So you
Oh
and
shit.
sometimes they even do diamonds. Diamonds are a lot
Wow.
more rare, but like usually it's
Yeah,
like opal, ruby,
yeah. I
those
think
that stuff.
wait, are opals the lowest one or topaz? No, I think topaz are the low. No, not topaz. Amber. Amber is the
Amber's the
worst one.
lowest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amber, opal, then it's probably topaz, ruby, sapphire, kind of same. And
To me,
then
I rank opal, ruby, and sapphire all the same because their infusibility, which I love this by the way. If you infuse it to a staff or spear, you basically make a magic staff where you can
yeah,
cast
the
off fireballs,
elemental.
ice balls, lightning balls.
Yeah, yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah, no, it is. It is cool. And oh man, what other like I don't think I've obviously I haven't utilized every combination and this might be a dumb gripe, but I will say this. I feel like there's too many items in the game.
Yeah.
Um because like once you have so many and you're scrolling through it, it's like, oh my god, when am I gonna get to the item that I'm looking for?
Well, one of the things that doesn't make sense is the food. If you look at your arrows or other things, it stacks. Like it's like one, two, or you have five in your inventory.
Yeah.
The foods that you have multiple of, if they're the same food, it doesn't stack. It's just another item in your inventory. And I'm like, if I'm making like shimmered fruit or whatever, the one for 5 health, I'm like, it should just stack. It shouldn't
But
each one take an
but
extra slot. It should just be that one slot. Just put an extra number on it.
I get you. However, those items don't affect your item list, right? So therefore, you can't attach a gourmet plate, right?
Well,
You
yeah,
can
I
only
know it
attach
doesn't affect your
ingredients. Yeah,
inventory, but I'm saying
yeah.
if you have a whole bunch of food, you have
But
to scroll down that massive list that you've accumulated just to find another one that's not shimmered fruit.
if you're cooking that much, then yeah, I guess I could see why that's a hassle. I'm not that just like in real life. I'm not cooking.
Oh, I cook a lot in the game because I'm one of those people that may accidentally stumble off a cliff and break my legs. That's why I always have the wingsuit on, so I don't take fall damage anymore.
Speaking of falling off cliffs, I mean, because yes, or timing my paraglider incorrectly and dying from fall damage. Um, I love the master. What is it called? Master mode? Is that what it's called? Where you could play your entire up to 300 hours.
No,
You could play
256 hours is Hero's
oh
Path.
Hero's Path. Thank you. And then okay, 256 hours. But you could like watch your whole path, and it's like, oh, and then it shows the X where he died, and it keeps going.
I don't ever want to look
It's
at it because there's a certain path where I did over and over again just so I can get that gourmet food from the deers or the mooses and the oxes or whatever.
uh,
And you probably just see 7 circles, or me going like a circle.
well for me there was a part in the depths where I reached the Coliseum and I went in and I thought I was like, oh, these are kind of easy-esque enemies. And I only had 6 hearts at the time. And actually, one of my clips came from that I put on social media. And I probably died in there upwards of 30 times. So in my hero's path, it's gonna be stuck there with
Well, the
um
the funny thing is that Hero's Path doesn't really work well with verticality either. So if you there is well, spoiler alert for the first thing. If you went to the Rito Village, we both did it. But when you do the storm arc, you have to do a lot of back and forth with going from one platform to another to keep ascending into that blizzard storm, whatever. If you
mhm.
look at your hero's path, all you see is Link going left, right, left, right, left, right, because it doesn't take into account the verticality on the Sky Islands. So all you see is boom, 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 boom,
Yeah,
boom, boom.
but I mean, that would be a hard.
I know it's just kind of funny that
Yeah,
you're doing a lot more, but on the map
yeah,
it just says left, right,
yeah,
left, right, left,
yeah.
right.
I think it's still like it's still kind of comical though, right? It's still kind of like funny and cute though, just to see your little like 8-bit Link just kind of like it's.
You're like,
I
why am
mean,
I going left and right so many times? Because I'm
yeah, yeah,
ascending.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, dude, I'm just my expectations were high going in, and surprisingly, they have been exceeded a lot. So I am floored. I'm over the moon with this game. I'm still gonna reserve my game of the year vote for later, but man, FF16 is has a hill to climb at this point.
I will say that I have a huge fear for Game of the Year because obviously we know that Spider-Man 2 is coming out, and
True.
because of the massive influence Sony has and Marvel has with the Game Awards, even though I know it's going to be a good game, Hogwarts Legacy, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Final Fantasy 16 are most likely going to be better, but I have a feeling because of the influence it has in that, you know, the company space, it's going to win Game of the Year, where I don't think it would deserve it. I just have that fear because of the influence it's going to take it.
We'll see.
Because that's the only
I,
reason why Stray was nominated is because they had Sony's backing last year.
yeah. We'll see. Um, but it's a great year for gaming, man, all around.
So I want to move on to something, and
Sure.
this may be a spoiler, but this is a theory I have because I've only played, I mostly explored, but only one part of the
Mm-hmm.
story.
Okay.
I think this is just my theory from what I'm looking at so far is when
Mm-hmm.
you play Breath of the Wild, you see this tapestry or whatever of Zelda, Demise, and then another creature, and
Mm-hmm.
people are saying it's Link. It to me that's always looked like Ganondorf. And now seeing Tears of the Kingdom, where it's basically the Ouroboros symbol, where the snake
Yes.
in the tail, I
Yep.
have a feeling because of that Ganondorf is actually the true hero of this story because of, like if you look at it in the beginning, he was trapped underneath Hyrule, and has a notorious history of always siphoning energy from the Triforce or other things to give themselves a more prosperous life, while in some instances bring down others, like the Gerudo, for example. I think in the Sealing War that they had, Ganon was probably one of the heroes that sealed Demise in himself to contain it, and the first king of Hyrule, Rauru, just put his hand on him just to keep the seal locked. But Ganondorf wasn't evil; he was just being the sacrifice to
He's
keep,
like a puppet.
well, not a puppet, but the vessel, the seal to keep
Yeah.
that evil from spilling out. And I'm feeling since he's gonna be resurrected, and this whole ball of red that you see in the trailer, that's the actual embodiment of Demise, and Ganondorf is gonna split, and Ganondorf is gonna be the one to finally take Demise out once and for all, breaking the whole cycle of reincarnation.
Hmm. Um.
Because you can't tell me that tapestry of the hero does not look like Ganondorf. He has the hair. He's got the kind of art style look to him that the new Breath of the Wild Tears of the Kingdom has for him.
We would have to actually look at the tapestry you're talking about because like I'm not really fully conveying what you're talking about because the tapestry that I um remember looking like it's clear cut. It's Ganondorf. But I would like to know which one you're talking about. But I'm not going to poo-poo on your theory. Like I kind of have not similar, not exactly what you're suggesting, but like I think there would be a cool,
So here, I
cool.
have it right here. Um, so you're probably thinking that that's is Ganon and slash Demise. But if you
Yeah,
look at this guy, it kind
yeah,
of looks like Ganondorf with the Master Sword.
yeah.
Because that doesn't look like Link. He's
I'm
got
following you.
he's got red hair. He's
Yeah.
like kind of bluish green, like
Hmm.
Ganondorf, and he's
Yeah.
got the same outfit on, no shirt. He's got that pants. It looks like Ganondorf versus Ganon Demise. It's like he's basically fighting his own sealments.
Yeah. Um, it'll be interesting. Like I said, not finished with it.
Because even, here's another one, the bigger one. Because
Yeah.
even in Skyward Sword, when Ganondorf wasn't there and it was Demise, Demise had that red hair, but then Ganondorf had to put in his body in the reincarnation, but he also
Hmm.
had red hair because he's a Gerudo. And if you
Hmm.
look here, they both look identical. It's
Hmm.
just that's Ganondorf fighting Demise.
Hmm.
That's my opinion. Is that it's the Ganondorf's the true hero in this storyline,
Um,
or
we'll
my
see.
theory.
I don't. How can I put it? I don't know if it'll play out like I don't really have an exact theory like yours, but uh, it wouldn't surprise me if there is some, dare I say, some good there, right, with actual Ganondorf. But I'll leave it as that. I'm not 100% sold on that. I don't have proof otherwise.
Because when you look at
But
the trailer and you see that red ball, you see
hmm,
Ganondorf in front of it, and he looks
yeah,
sad.
hmm, a little sad.
Like he looks back, and it's not like an evil smirk or anything. He just looks at you like he knows he's gonna die, and he's just trying to either reseal it again or finally put an end to it once and for all.
I think the Ouroboros thing does have some sort of play, and it kind of like almost feels like at some point you have to break the cycle, right? So that kind of like assists with that, right? That theory, but I don't know. I just don't know. I guess another gripe with this game, right? And it's taken like a similar pattern to Breath of the Wild, where the because we've also, without going to spoilers though, we both experienced some cutscenes, right? And much like Breath of the Wild, it can be done in a linear path, but more than not, you're probably going to experience it in a non-linear way, right? So with that said, the way they conduct their storytelling, I just don't know how that would be executed, if that makes sense. It sounds silly, but once again, neither one of us is finished yet, so we don't know. But um, I don't. It's hard for me to theory because to that effect, I'm a little bit farther than you. So therefore, I don't want to. I don't even want to theorize at this point because I feel like it's all spoilers. Um,
Well, you could theorize because you could be wrong in the end.
I can't because of where I'm at. I'm at the point where I know too much. Um,
I would.
so
I wish you would say it because it'd be funny if you say it and you're like, I was way off.
no, I'm not. I'm not going to do that with you because I don't know. So as much as I do know,
Well, I'm not one of those people
I
that care.
can't.
If you're right, you're right. That's why I'm theory correct. Because if I'm right, then I call it before the game even came out.
No, that's why. Like as much as I do know, that's why I say I can't poo-poo your theory, right? But as much as I do know, I don't want to go against your theory. Does that make sense?
But that's the whole point of theory is to create your own.
No, no, no. Whatever. We'll leave alone. We will revisit when we're done.
At that point, I
Right.
won't even care about your theory because I'll be done.
Uh, nah, you probably won't. Neither would I. But, um, yeah. I
If you don't say your
are,
theory now, you're not gonna say it
no,
later.
I don't really. Well, that's the thing. I don't really have a theory. I would just have a counter theory to yours.
So that is a theory. Counter theory is a theory.
A counter theory is I still think Ganon's still evil, and that separation is not going to happen, even based on your tapestry.
Okay, there
That's
you go. You
just
finally said it.
that's my theory.
There we go. High five or claps. You get claps.
But I'm not
Um,
going to poo-poo it because like there's don't want to say hard evidence. I just don't think Nintendo is going to go that route. Is all I'm saying based on what I've already seen. But I'm not against it. I think it would be cool. Like I really do. Like a lot. I could see people probably be mad about it because oh, we got a goody two shoes ending and everybody's with the exception of Demise, but everybody's good in the end. Like I could see people outcry about that, but I wouldn't be against it. I think it would be kind of cool.
so going back to something else that I don't know if it's really well. Technically, it's not a spoiler because you already know it's not going to happen. Because even if you play the intro, you know it's not going to happen. So in the beginning, Zelda and Link get separated, right?
Hmm.
And even in the first Sky Island part, if you haven't gotten past that
Hmm.
part, you don't care about Zelda.
Hmm.
But it's almost implied that she went back into the past.
Hmm.
I feel like having her in the past would have been the best opportunity to see Hyrule. Like, let's say even if it's like for a short segment, see pre-destroyed Hyrule in that primal area and get to play as Zelda for a little bit. Yeah, I feel
Hmm.
like they missed an opportunity to show her off in the past version.
Um, I'm.
Because even on the Sky Island, you see Link with the broken Master Sword, and he
Hmm.
holds it to the altar, and it goes through time to go to Zelda in the past.
Hmm.
And I'm like, it's like the perfect handoff. Like you get like like Link gets to a certain part of the story, then it's
Yeah.
Zelda for a little bit, and then back to Link, back to Zelda, back to Link, back to Zelda, and then they both meet up at the same time period where they're both fighting at the same point in the war, and then that's when both timelines come back together.
I'm not against playing Zelda because I think a lot of people wanted this point. I think people wanted it in Breath of the Wild too.
Oh, she was
I mean,
extremely fun in Age of Calamity.
well, I was about to say we got it in Age of Calamity. I just don't. Going back to the past. Okay, so going back to the past, I'm with you. I would love to see that world in that era for sure, but there's not really much going on because in theory it's kind of peaceful times until Ganondorf finally,
That's not true.
does what he.
Well, I'm only gonna say for the because we both did it in Rito Village. Even if you do the first arc, only one of the phenomenons or temples, whatever you want to call it, it during that time period, the Sealing War, they're gathering their sages, which you Link basically is doing now is gathering his sages, for his story. And Zelda's pretty much doing that same thing in the past. She's gathering her sages with the first king of Hyrule, with the other four Gerudo,
Yeah,
Rito, and all that stuff.
no, no, I
I
know
feel
that.
like they mirror each other perfectly to play side by side to see them both play same events just in different timelines.
That's true. They're gathering them in that period too. But like what I'm saying is like there's no also there's that calamity's not there like it is in the current timeline is what I'm saying. So her story would be a peaceful one going to village by village. Is like, hey, you want a tear?
Well, no, it'd be that build up, like like in Game of Thrones, the night before, where everybody's getting ready, they know what's going to happen. This big thing is
Hmm.
going to happen. It'd
Yeah,
be you feel tense, you're getting your allies together, you're
yeah.
strengthening relationships.
Hmm.
There could have been like an RPG element there to build a chemistry, and then at the same time, that perfect handoff to Link and his crew to do what they're going to do.
Well, once again, because of the story being told is non-linear and you don't get segments in order, I can't say whether or not they actually show that, right? So
Well, the
like,
four phenomenons, it does like I think they still give you a structure. They just give you the fragments of that first few structures and to play any way you want. Because all four phenomenons in the beginning, obviously, they're going to tell you each of the four characters that you're going to be introduced to and how they're going to get their sage-like powers. And then after that, you're probably going to progress with doing something with like either the divine beasts or arcs, whatever they're probably going to go with. And then after that, it's your crew is going to go to Hyrule or the Hyrule Castle, and then finally maybe do a standoff with Ganondorf for Demise.
I mean, that could be. I mean, I agree. That's probably the arc, right? Um, but
I'm just saying they had opportunity, they dropped the ball. They could have did a lot more, and they didn't.
no, I mean, you're not wrong. I'm just trying to like say like dare I say, is it worth?
Oh,
Because like
100%.
I, I don't know. I don't totally agree if
Because if
it's
they're not
100%
worth it,
worth.
then why are they, showing it to you as fragments like I think his name is
I,
Raru.
I think if that were to happen, I would be totally fine with that being. You may not agree with this, but that really, in theory, can be a whole separate game. That's what I'm getting at. Like, if you want it, in theory, that could be a whole game in its own right.
At that
I
point,
just,
I've
I
already
just,
seen the ending. I don't need to go back to the beginning.
I just don't. I was saying that's why it's not being done, right? Because like, I don't know.
I just feel like they had the best opportunity to show two timelines working in unison for the same goal that's plugging both timelines. And they could have
Mm-hmm.
worked together and then you see both progressing and then at that
Mm-hmm.
pinnacle, that spearhead, they're both
Mm-hmm.
fighting demise and Ganon at the same time. And
Mm-hmm.
that's how they break the cycles by both timelines finally becoming unison to
Mm-hmm.
purify.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously it's not gonna happen
Well,
because they not gonna do that, but
yeah.
it would be cool.
Yeah. I mean, I think people are, wanting to play Zelda in a real Zelda game. Um,
This is one of the
Unfortunately,
few that
that's
she actually has good powers.
yeah, because the first game she was totally trying to figure it out, right? Versus, yeah,
And then she got her Triforce beams of light where she's like, ha, solar ray, solar ray, solar ray, God beam, boom, you're dead.
yeah. But with that said, hopefully, whether it's next week or 2 weeks from now, we could talk with the conclusion with us both being done with the storylines and see where we're right, see where we're wrong, and see what we liked and what we disliked. I know one thing that I'm anxious to do that I haven't done yet is going back
Delete
to
the
the
game.
very beginning. Huh?
Delete the game.
No. Going back to the very beginning, going back to the tapestry, right? There was, I believe, two, if not three,
Yeah,
that
where they're
were
covered in rocks.
covered in rocks that you could obviously tell you could remove with a bomb or with a sword. So I can't wait to go and find that spot and see what is actually behind and further theory craft.
I
Because I
hope that you can go
know
back there because I feel like
you
you said, the
have
rocks
to.
look destructible.
Yes. Yeah, and to your point, I mean, I haven't been. I don't know where it's at. I kind of think I know where it's at. It probably has to be somewhere down, right? But I haven't found it, but I haven't yet looked for it. So, but I want to find it. I want to see what's behind there, and I'm sure it's going to assist with our theory crafting.
Spoiler alert: you break the rocks, the tapestries are just blank.
Oh, that would be a huge disappointment.
You're like, I did all this work and it's empty, and then on the bottom it says story's still being written.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Yeah,
To be
I
concluded.
hope I hope not. That would be the biggest like ball buster ever.
I
No,
worked so hard to come back.
they're not blank because I think like the next one you could see like a little piece of it. So
I'm just joking. There's probably something
yeah,
there. I'm
no,
just saying it'd
yeah,
be really funny. Just you're like, I'm so excited. Let's see what's progressing. And
yeah,
it's like empty, to be
yeah.
determined.
You know what? I just thought about this. You probably can't access it until you beat the game because it's probably going to be trivial to whatever the ending is.
I don't think so because that whole tapestry that you see is just it's what happened in the past. It's the Sealing War. That's already been done and done. Whatever's at the end, you basically know how they seal them, unless they're trying to say that you're not really going to kill Demise, you're just going to reseal them again, which would be the biggest disappointment in my opinion, because I think it's time for him to go. But of course, he's also
Hmm.
been in every single iteration, and oh no, it's kind of like
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat. I'm just done seeing it.
Well, it's I guess it is a done seeing it, but it's also what gets birth to the new games, right? Like because I know at some point you want to have an ending, right, and converge timelines and stuff, but
I don't
like
care an ending. I want a handoff. That's what I want. I
you
don't.
don't get a handoff in Zelda. You always have a Link, you
Well,
always have a Zelda, you always
technically,
have a
you do get a
Ganondorf.
handoff, and this is the one thing
Well,
that's always
okay,
blown my mind with Zelda is
uh-huh.
that Zelda, every Princess of Hyrule has a daughter, and they name it Zelda to continue it. But Link and Ganondorf, there is no other Link and Ganondorf. They just get recreated every single time. But Zelda, it's actually a new human every single time, just regaining that Hylia spirit.
Hmm.
So why is Zelda special and she gets a new body every single time, but Link and Ganondorf are stuck in this perpetual nonstop cycle of, oh crap, I died, I'm coming back. It's like they get the same body. It's like, I just leave, let me rest, let me die.
Yeah, there's a funny meme that I shared with my friend that to that point you have the three that are always reoccurring, and then you have somebody like Impa that's like totally different in every game. Like she's like in this game she's extremely well. This one in Breath of the Wild she's like extremely old, right? Um, she's not frail, but she's like really old. In Age of Calamity there was a younger version of her, but other games like she looks totally different. Like one, she's like really obese and like I shouldn't say obese, but she's
Well,
a
Kira's
heavier
kind of like
woman.
that too, where in Age of
Oh
Calamity
man,
she's in her
Pure,
20s,
Pure, Pura's Bay too, right?
and then like in Breath of the Wild she's like a 90-year-old
Yeah,
woman, but in a kid's
yeah,
body, and then now she's a
yeah.
125-year-old back in that 20-year-old
In a
body.
20-year-old body, yeah, yeah. That
it's
shit's
it's
funny.
funny seeing her like personality. She's like, "Hey, how's it going?" Like in Age of Calamity, and then obviously as the years go on, she's like, "What do you want?"
Yeah, yeah. It's cool. Once again, attention to detail, right?
And then
There's
poor
a
Robbie, man, he got hit with the age stick so bad. He's a shriveled prune. He's Impa male.
yeah, but he's still full of piss and vinegar though. He's still going.
Yeah, but it's kind of
I
funny
like
seeing like the difference between old Robbie being cranky and all that, and then
yeah.
young Robbie being more energetic and happy.
Yeah. Well, and then I like I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right. Right. Is it Joshua?
Yeah, I just said Joshua because it's
Yeah, Joshua.
Josha,
Yeah. Joshua calls
and
him
I'm like,
goggles.
hey, I'm in the game.
Yeah, I know. I thought, believe me, I thought about you. But I like how she calls him goggles.
Yeah.
Shit's funny. But a couple other, I don't know if I mean these aren't really spoils, but they're like attention of detail comments. But I don't know if have you been to Hatno Village or
If you're talking
Hateno?
about Link's old house, I'm so upset with
Yes.
Zelda.
Oh, yeah, because it's now her house. But so to that point, they have the picture from the first game in there, like the final picture that they take. I thought that was fucking so
And
awesome.
then everything else
And
is stock pictures of a horse.
yeah, yeah, or someone she's cheating on somebody with, or she's sleeping with. Um, so there's that I saw, and then also back in Impa's house, if you go or in Kakariko, if you go upstairs, there's the original tapestry, like the one you showed on the phone. There's that up there. Like just those little things um, I just love. I'm just the Easter eggs. I guess those are mostly Easter eggs, and I'm sure there's a bunch that I haven't even seen or I've ran past that I didn't know. That I didn't notice. So, yeah,
so
so cool.
so to continue on with the house, I think it's so funny that you work hard to get that house. You have a sign that says Link's house. You decorate with your swords, weapons, and all that stuff, and you
Yeah.
come back to this game, and that sign is just on the wall, tipped over. Inside the house, it's like, this is not my house. And then you realize Zelda moved in, and it's only one bed, and you realize that she won the house in the divorce. And it's like that. She's like, I can't believe she took it from me.
Yeah, it's great, but it's a cool nod. So,
Yeah.
um,
There was something else I was gonna mention. I just forgot it. Oh, the horses.
mhm,
I so like I said, the one thing I love so much about this game is like like I was saying before, how when Link loses his powers, it makes sense on how he loses it. He's just getting a debuff. He still has his powers. He just has to cleanse himself.
mhm,
But the fact that this is literally taking place right after Breath of the Wild, and if
mhm.
you played Breath of the Wild, your horse is still transfer over. And
Yes.
I'm like, I love how the stat, like if you had perfect stats with your old horse, it
Yeah.
still continues.
Yeah. So it's funny because I didn't know that, and I wouldn't say I worked hard, but I tamed a new wild horse because there was a quest associated with it on the side quest, and I gave it up, and I'm like, I kind of want another horse now. So I went back out, got one, and I went to board it and take it out, and I'm like, wait a minute, oh shit, my horse from. I'm like, oh, that's so fucking awesome! Like, I was so happy. Like, yeah, I didn't know about that until that moment. So
I,
yeah, that was cool.
I just thought it was cool that that same exact horse, same model of the horse, everything about that
Same
old
same
horse
name.
is just continued over because it's
Yeah.
literally right after Breath of the Wild,
Yeah.
and
I,
it just makes sense story wise to
oh yeah,
have the
no, it
horses
does.
be there.
Yeah, and I think that is then the only thing that carried over from your previous save. But
Technically, your stamina
I'm
and your
gonna
health carried over too. It's just you gotta slowly cleanse yourself.
true that. But that's only a few 100% of the game, which I didn't do. So
So one thing that's odd, and maybe this is 100% because of building. In Breath of the Wild, I definitely prioritize getting health over stamina. This game, I'm the opposite. I went straight stamina right off the bat because I feel like it's more important
same,
than hearts.
same. Uh, Mainly because because of exploration, right? The paraglide, you're gonna have to, or you at least you feel like you want to cover more ground, so you're gonna need more stamina. So yeah, no, that was my plan as well, and that's what I did.
Yeah, because I was like, I'm gonna give myself 5 or 6 hearts. I'm like, that's a good safety net. Like most likely, I'm not gonna get one hit from everything if I have gear. And
But
I'm like, the stamina is what I need.
the funny part of that decision, though, I because that's still the route I took, but it did make me wonder, especially at the starting zone where you needed the heart to push the door open. So a part of me was like, "Fuck, is this
Yeah,
gonna
you
be
might
like
need
another?"
hearts.
Yes. So I was like, and maybe there still is other parts that you do. I don't know yet, but I haven't come across it yet.
So I
Oh,
have a
you probably
feeling.
have.
Well, I haven't come across. Like I said, you and I
Oh,
story
okay.
wise were this exact same thing.
You gave a smirk like you're like, oh, I know there's this part,
I
I was like,
feel
oh wait,
like
is there?
so what 100% theory. I don't know because I haven't got to that part. I have a feeling that's
Yeah.
gonna be another door, but you don't need to invest your shrines in it because after you do the phenomenon, each of the phenomenons are gonna give you one extra heart each,
Mm,
and that's what's gonna get you past that door.
yeah, that would make sense. That would make sense.
Because I've only done the Rito Village one, but after you
Yeah,
do that, you get one extra heart.
true, true. Cool.
Well, that's just my theory, my
No, that's a good one.
speculation.
That and it makes sense. Yeah, that is everything that I have to say thus far. I am going to immediately play it right after our podcast here. And yeah, we're gonna talk more about it for sure.
I will say my final wrap up moment is
Mm-hmm.
that I said it before for Breath of the Wild. They missed a huge opportunity to make a Sheikah Slate switch, and they missed it again with not making a pure pad switch. I seen the Tears of the Kingdom switch. It's ugly. It's hideous. I hate it. Give me a pure pad switch. I would have bought it. Like
I
I
would.
don't want just the Joy Cons. I want the whole system to be custom.
I'm with you. I wouldn't say it's ugly. I'll agree they could have did a better job with it. Um, but I wouldn't say it's ugly.
Because like I have my Switch right here, and I don't know
Hmm.
why they don't do it because they realistically can. They've done it for the DS. Is that the frame on the outside? They have the back. They could have put like etchings on it because they've done it with 3DS. It's like
Hmm.
they could have did so much, but they decided to just leave the stock black, and the only thing they changed is the Joy Cons. And then maybe the dock is what they changed, but like overall case is exactly the same as every other Switch. It's stupid.
No, I agree with you. That was a bad, or well, yeah, we'll just say it was a bad marketing decision, or like you said, a missed opportunity marketing decision. Um, yeah, no answer. That'd be something definitely like to ask Nintendo people. How did that get fumbled?
But I do think I might go ahead and pull the trigger here somewhat soon, if I can flip a few more things to get money back. Is I think I might buy the Tears of the Kingdom Pro controller. I like the way it looks for some reason.
I am using it and I like it too.
Like I have two Pro controllers, and that's the reason why I wasn't. I don't know where my Pro controller is. It's somewhere charging. But I'm like, I have two of them. Do I really need a third one? I'm like, no. Then I'm like, I kind of like the way it looks.
Yeah, it's it. I haven't used a pro controller for any game as much as this one, so
Oh, it's the only way I play it.
yeah, I like it.
The Joy Cons are too small. I can't play with the Joy Cons.
Yeah, I started the first day I did because I had to charge my pro controller, but yeah, I've been using it ever since, and I like it.
Feel like, well, obviously, maybe the whole process is that it's meant for kids, not adults. Look at my hand. Look at the Joy-Con.
Hmm.
Look at how small that is. My thumb hits both buttons at the same time. Even if I like have to like carefully press it, I sometimes fat finger two buttons at the same time. It sucks.
Mm-hmm.
And then same thing with the triggers. They're so close together that if I press this one, I accidentally go over too much. I hit the R button instead of the RZ or whatever it's called.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I had to go with the Pro controller because these are just way too small for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Like how do adults play with these? Like, do you have the same problem?
Um, not really, but I will agree they are extremely, extremely small.
Like, I'm like, this is like a French fry.
Like,
But yeah, yeah.
like my thumbs tend to hurt when playing it. Like I feel like I have, to your point, right? You have to like arc your fingertips a certain way to hit buttons that you're not really accustomed to.
Hmm.
And yeah, I'll get some weird phalange pain.
And that's kind of weird that they designed the Pro controller so well. Like, obviously, it's modeled after the Xbox controller, which I think is the best controller design out there, and it's perfect for my hands. Joy Cons, it's meant for babies.
Yeah. Now, what if you have you ever put it in the little dock that they give it?
Yeah.
The Joy-Cons? And still,
Well,
because I feel like that helped. That's the way I wasn't using them just like Joy-Cons in each hand. I would put it in the dock,
well,
and it helps.
the problem too is that the buttons are still small. So because
No, you're
I'll
right.
fat finger the button, I'm gonna hit two buttons at once.
No,
Just
you're
because
right.
it's so
But I think
close.
for me, it helps with that grip though, because like because you have a little bit more of an open grip versus Joy-Con. Your grip is tighter, I guess. I don't know.
No, I agree.
But
Grip wise, it works, but
yeah,
because the buttons are so close together,
yeah,
and if you accidentally press it an inch,
and they're
like not even a
smaller.
centimeter off, you're gonna hit both buttons.
Yeah. No, I agree that it doesn't help that. It's never gonna help that.
I don't think I've actually
Um,
used that thing. It came with the Switch. I don't think I've
yeah.
used it once.
Oh, well, maybe you should try it.
Well, I got a Pro controller. I don't need
Oh, yeah, yeah.
to.
Too little, too late.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. That's my initial review of Tears of the Kingdom, and we'll continue to talk.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Lots of great things. I meant. Let's see. No, we still have another week before June because I was saying Crash Team Rumble comes out really soon. Then a week, I think 4 weeks exactly. Final Fantasy 16 comes out.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Um,
I think you're right. Exactly a month.
and then after that, there's still more games that I want to play coming out too. So dude, oh, so
Yeah,
many
there's a lot.
games, so little time. I don't know how I'm gonna play them all.
Yeah, that is so true. So, on that note, for anybody else out there that listens and enjoys our podcast, if you are also playing Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, feel
or any of
free
the games
to,
we mentioned.
or any other games we mentioned, feel free to comment, share what your thoughts are, what are your reviews. I guess at this point, you probably go on there and do spoiler reviews too. We'll just probably, at this rate, ignore them until next week,
He
but
will ignore them. I'll still read them.
there you go. And feel free to do that on all our platforms.
And our dates are going to be changing. We are no longer going to
Yes.
be doing Friday at 6 p.m. Central Time. It's not going to be moved to Thursday because Steve thinks he's going to have a social life, but I don't think it's going to last long.
Or even probably happen, but I just want to give myself the option.
But the podcast is going to be moved to Thursday, 6 p.m. Central Time moving forward. So hopefully you stay tuned for those.
Thirsty Thursdays.
See Thursdays.
So
But
with that, I am at the Real Shiesty. He is at Joshua Cast. Feel free also to show us some love on our single form platforms if you like. And this is the end of episode 36 of the Automatic Podcast. We appreciate you and look forward to hearing you next time.
peace.
Deuces.